Hello, everyone. It's another week of awesome sports and everything going on. A whole bunch going on. This one we're gonna do a little differently. I had to do a refresh on my computer, so some of the articles that I had I lost, but I gained one of them back. We're gonna make this an awesome show, just like every week.
We always
And with
do.
that, let's get started. So we're gonna start off the show. And the reason why there's a couple of reasons why we're starting off with this. I'm going to try to start making sure that I do as much as I can to represent my brand in even in my podcast.
Mhm.
So with that, the reason why I'm mentioning that is because there was some unfortunate news that I caught wind of on Facebook, and I passed it on to Jay in our little group, and it's about the brother of Tershawn Wharton. Apparently, I haven't been able to find any details, but apparently he just lost his brother to suicide. And once again, we have another person basically putting it out there like, hey, make sure you checking on your people, make sure you checking on your friends. Uh, make sure that they're okay. Now, obviously, you can't do everything for them, but at least make sure that they know that they have somewhere that they can vent, that they can, let it be known how they're feeling, and you'll do whatever you can, even if it's pointing them in a direction, as long as they're open to stuff like that. Which that's the tricky part in everything. We can always throw out here like, hey, there's places to go to help. There's places to go to make it through situations. And while this is true, the unfortunate part that tends to get left out, and I always try to make sure when I'm talking to people, I try to point it out. You got to make it it ultimately, unfortunately, is on the individual
It
to
always is on the
to
individual.
seek and and it sounds bad, but the reason why I want to mention that, number one, I'm speaking from personal experience. Number two, it's a reality, and number three, for the people that end up suffering after blaming themselves for, well, I didn't do enough. Details are important, so obviously you know the details. But beyond just letting them know as much as possible how much you love them, um, no matter the decisions that they make, no matter the decisions that they make that may not be in their favor, always let your friends and your family know that you love them, because that is very important when people are struggling mentally. Because life is a big old Mount Everest, and not everybody is able to climb to the top. Some of it's perception, a lot of it is reality, uh,
Right. Thank you.
and it can be a mixture of both. So I definitely want to make sure, because obviously, like I said, I'm speaking from personal experience because I deal with it all the time. Uh, yes, get you a therapist, call the 988, do whatever you need to do so that you can be okay. And those who know and are aware, mental health is a real thing. I wish people weren't didn't take it seriously when it shows up on their doorstep. That is a very difficult, that makes it even more difficult to deal with, because then that regret kicks in. But just do what you can. Everybody can only do so much. Everybody try to do what they can.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing. Everybody, one of the hardest things to deal with when somebody does that, when somebody decides to take their own life, is the questions for the people that's left behind here asking why or what they could have done more in there. I would. It's hard it's hard enough dealing with the loss. It's doubly hard when you start questioning yourself and what you could have did more while it was during that time frame. And I always tell people, be in the present, be in the now. Get to talk to your family, talk to your friends, understand, have it to where they understand that somebody is there to listen to them, this no matter what, no matter when they call or what's going on. If they hit out to you and you're busy at the moment, make sure you hit back and say like, hey, what's going on? I saw your message, I was doing such and such, but I'm here now, what's going on? Keep that line of communication over or open, because you never know. You really never know. And I've dealt with that from friends that where it's been to where you sit there and you question like, wow, what did I do? What could I have done? What could I have done? And then you just have to pray and say, I did all I could if you did, and then it was their choice to do what they did. But you have to be, in order to not even get to that point, be supportive, be there, talk to them, be open, be a sponge to what's going on, because your insights might change, might be the difference between them going down that path and going down another one. Just to be a positive influence or just a support right there for somebody. That's what that comes down to in order to try to be with that. My prayers and condolences goes out to their family. Uh, this is not going to be easy for them to get through with that, and it's not going to be something to where it's going to be instantly over. They're going to instantly be over once football season kicks back off for him or for the family for years and possibly ever. But as long as they put forth their faith in their higher power and and talk amongst each other about it to prevent it from happening again in there, and raise up the memory of the young man that decided to do this. Don't make it to where he becomes another poster child of, hey, this is what you see out here for people that's out there doing this for it. Put out the good side of it. Just say that this was just a moment of a moment to where they just decided that they just didn't want to be here anymore.
Yeah. Um, yeah, definitely prayers and condolences out to the family, because that's just for me thinking about it. Every time I hear about it, I think about, it sounds selfish, but I think about myself, and I'm gonna explain what I mean by that, and then we'll move on. There's been many times that I've tried, even more times that I've thought about it. Even like in recent time, within the past year, there's some times where whenever I say things got dicey, that's what I meant. Um, so and I'm a person that just I don't want to I don't want to burden people with anything, so I keep a lot to myself. Uh, um, because I wake up every day and my brain is just it's constantly going. And I've I've understood that I run my life like a person runs a business.
Mm-hmm.
I go by results. I know what I'm capable of. I know what the potential is. And this is why I'm not a advocate for potential, because even me personally, I have plenty of potential. But part of it, part of the reason why I haven't reached it is me. And part of the reason that I haven't reached it is supporting cast because of people. not believing in me,
Right.
not being willing to give me a chance, finding any reason just to say no. And it's like, okay, well, and that happens to a lot of people in life, and not everybody handles it well.
Mm-mm.
You can only take so much rejection before you're like, okay, what's the point? What is the point of everything I'm trying to do? Even if I know that maybe I'm not putting forth 100% effort, I could have I could have done a lot more yesterday. I could have done a lot more. I could have done a lot more today. True, but in all things need motivation. And if I'm my only motivation and I see that, and to keep the momentum pumping, I need others to believe in my vision and grasp on and help me keep on climbing up Mount Everest.
Mm.
Then I'm gonna spend a lot of days just full of irritation and regret and feeling like I'm nothing but a failure. And
It should be that one.
you know, so like I said, bottom line, just make sure that you keep an eye on your people, and anything that seems off, even if all you do is say, "Hey, are you okay? I saw you do this," or a lot of times I'll be scrolling through Facebook and I'll see somebody post something real, seem like it's real dark, and I go, "Hey." I'll DM them and go, "Hey, I saw your post. Everything okay? What's going on? You need to talk? Let's talk." And that's, I
Mm.
know everything that I have on me, and I still,
You still do that, and I do that. I do that as well. That's why sometimes it'll be like sometimes you'll message me because I'll put a note or something up, and I'll be like, "No, I'm good." Just something that popped in my head at that moment. But just to know that somebody's out there watching that to where they'd be like, "Hey, yo, everything good? You cool?" That makes it to where it'd be like, "Nah, yeah, I'm all right." Or that might be that trigger to sit there and be like, "Nah, you know what, man, this is what's going on," and be able to then that start that conversation to where I can put that off on there.
yeah. So, with that, let's uh kick it up a notch a little bit. And you're happy. You sir are happy off of this report. Apparently the Bearcats have signed Jared Calhoun.
6-year deal. Yes, they got it right. And you knew that it was going to be moving because how fast everything started rolling with Miller.
Mm-hmm.
Because it went from Miller was relieved of duty. He was designated for April 1st separation. Then all of a sudden, as it was like Charlotte did us a favor
Mm-hmm.
because Charlotte coming out saying we want you after his success that had for the 10 years when he was at UNC Greensboro. They were like, we want you. And plus, with the uncertainty with the North Carolina head coaching job being out there, which I don't think he had a chance for, but he still is from that coaching tree. If they wanted to go back to there, Charlotte struck while the iron was hot and made it to where they worked out a deal with Cincinnati to say, okay, for your separation package, you can pay him this. We're signing him for a 5-year deal for him to come in and do this for us. And that frees you up to go ahead and go start meeting with Calhoun. Now, I'd have had sources sit up there and say Calhoun was here before he flew out with the team out there this weekend for the tournament. So
Mm-hmm.
he's already been through here, had talked to some people from there. His agent had been through here off and on throughout the weekend, and it cycled through to where, like I had mentioned to you last week, as soon as Utah State was out of it, I would say give it a little bit of time and he was going to sign on dotted line. Did I think it would be less than 24 hours? No. But it seems like a lot of the coaches that was up for opportunities to move up and they
Mm-hmm.
prestige of their conferences, they didn't wait a couple of days for it. they basically, when they got into that locker room, they was probably sitting up there telling their goodbyes to some of their players and everything, and was already catching either a flight or going to sign on dotted line, because he's not the only person that signed.
Mm-hmm.
And you see the thing that you sent me about the coach, about the coach for the team. Did you see that? About St. Mary's?
Oh, I definitely want to talk about it unless something has happened since that thing
He
since
left. I think he left and went to Arizona State.
wow.
I'm trying to pull it up now. I thought that was the name that I saw.
Randy Bennett.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Since we on that subject, let's go ahead and get into that. Let me know if you can
I'm sorry.
let me know if you can hear this.
Go ahead.
You can hear it?
No, not yet. I can't hear it.
Oh crap. I'm about to pull it up on
I just saw the score for the Syracuse UConn game and just laughed out
yeah,
loud.
Syracuse just scored for the first time in like 4 minutes.
It's 53-8 to
Well,
8
was
in the
56
second quarter.
was 56 to 10 now.
In the second
I got it.
quarter.
I got it pulled up on my TV. So,
Jesus Christ.
all right. Um,
Yep, he did. He left. Yep. Damn,
here,
that's crazy.
I'm gonna try one more time. You know what? That was probably best because, and I'm gonna try one more time because
I listened to it.
okay. What did you okay, so here was my initially before the players spoke, I agreed with everybody that it looked bad. But then when the players started speaking and they started saying where they were, I felt like they were putting more detail to what he basically meant.
They were trying to, but I think again, this is one of the ones to where I the way that coach was, he had checked out.
Yeah.
I think he was done, and that kind of combines the fact of it with him signing as fast as he did. He was just like, we played horrible, we sucked, we were bad.
Yeah, he wasn't going to sugarcoat it because he knew he wasn't going to be there long anyway.
Because he pretty much was up there. He did the entire half-baked restaurant routine in a PG coaches type of way. F you, you cool, F you, I'm out. And he left. They said he had been there for 25 years.
Now, the part that kind of trips me out was the very end of it. Now, you got up after you got done answering all the questions. Do you remember what he said?
No.
Hopefully, we'll see you next year.
Because whoever, but they bumped
now,
up one of his assistants, his associate head coaches, automatically to the head coaching position. They did not feel, they did not wait to do that. And see, that's where I'm thinking. As much as we sit there,
did they have a conversation that helped everything play out?
Possibly.
Because
but that's too fresh. That was too fresh after a game for them to have had a conversation after the game in order to do that. Part of me, I think that one of the hardest things about March Madness is the same way that we start talking about the portal and college football at the end of the season during the middle of the playoffs there.
Mm-hmm.
The portal doesn't open for the college basketball players until April the 7th, after the tournament. But the coaches are free game right after the end of the season for real. So we don't know from the time that in that time span of conference, end of the conference, the regular season, conference tournament, and then conference play, and then the NCAA tournament, if you get picked, we don't know what those conversations are between the coach, the athletic director, the agent, the other athletic director that's involved in there across the board. We don't know who all has had any type of words with that. And I think that that's a disservice if you know that you got 1 foot out the door. And there's a difference between his mentality when he had 1 foot out the door, because he sounded like he was fed up. And he kind of just was like, he kind of was like he was over it. Versus Calhoun with Utah State yesterday, because I could have sworn Utah State got blown out too.
Let me look.
Utah State, I thought that was a blowout score.
Because that was Utah State. No, they lost by 12. I mean,
but that game wasn't close. That was the Arizona game. They came
right.
They came back. Arizona had scrubs in on the back end of that game.
Right.
So but his press conference was not like that. It was thankful of the opportunity, thankful for the players that he had. Thanked everybody that came out to support him for it, and went about his merry way. You would have had, reading the tea leaves and watching those press conferences, you would have thought something was up with the St. Mary's coach versus, without knowing that he had been talking to Arizona State, versus Calhoun and UC, knowing that everybody and their mama had been saying that Calhoun was the number 1 choice for UC at that time. So it's not.
I can see that.
It makes it to where you, as a coach, even in the face of defeat, and even in the face of you might be changing locations, you still have to keep it PG. You still have to keep it to where you still are the acting figurehead of the school in front of that thing. Because it's not like the AD is going to sit up there, and it's not like Triple H is going to sit up there with you and help and talk about all the metrics of what you did throughout the season while you go back in the background and lick your wounds. It makes it to where it's a juggle.
Yeah, drill. The drill with you.
Yeah. Yeah. I like I said, I saw the wording in the article that he was facing criticism. So I started watching it, and then I started listening to him. I'm like, okay, you've been successful during the regular season, and it sounds like, but like you were saying, like even his demeanor doesn't match that of a guy that he act like they weren't having great seasons. Basically, the if I remember hearing him right, he basically did about the same, had like at least 27 wins last 4 seasons, and it's like, okay, now from that standpoint, that smells fishy,
right? But he gave no real reason to have that reaction like he did.
And I'm listening to everything, and I'm like, okay, there's something I'm missing. But then when the players started talking, and they were like, yeah, we were prepared for it. He prepared us. We watched film, we did everything, we did everything. But then they started the one started specifically talking about stuff that they are usually better at, that they just let the other team just take them out of their game. And so they didn't
execute to the way that they thought they would. But see,
right.
that comes
it's like they got in. It's like we talk about all the time. And this is why a lot of those teams get played. This is the exact example. You can do all the film and you can have and you can think that you got everything figured out.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, that happened a lot this weekend with a lot of these upsets.
The whole tournament.
A lot of these teams found out that these teams that aren't coming from somewhere, you better start the game off, punch them in the mouth, and just stomp them out. If you do not stomp them out by halftime, now it didn't happen. There was a chosen few games. There was a chosen few games that if you didn't have them stomped out by halftime, they took you to the brink.
Let's call a spade a spade. If Duke is your overall number one, if that is your God, then your God is timid.
No, I knew when I saw the score of the Siena game, I'm like, yeah, they okay, I see how this is about to go, and I'm now
But they
scared.
came out and did it again the second round. They did the exact same thing. Boozer had 2 points in the first half in the second round game. And they were losing at half.
Yeah.
You cannot. If you look at the number
He
one
better not
team,
do that against St. John's.
no, you're done. You can't do that because St. John's, if you look at that bracket, St. John's was blowing out Kansas. Kansas went on a 23-9 run at the end of that game in order to tie it up. And then that goes into the other conversation.
That is the only thing that gives me solace that Duke, if they fall behind, they can overcome
it.
They
could do it, but you didn't play that devil's advocate, and you didn't play that game twice. The first time you almost got upset in the first round, and you would have been in the annals with Virginia with that. Then you turned around, and I would have thought that you would have came out ready to punch somebody in the mouth again. You came out just as timid in the second round game. But you cannot do.
I think what it is. Well, I think part of what it is with Foster being hurt, the guy that replaced him, you could tell that how important he is.
Right. And see, you want to know but the other part that we always say about that is that you cannot sit there and have the consensus college basketball player of the year on your squad with his number two, because his brother's not his number two. Foster is his number two. With him being down and you scoring 2 points in the first half. You cannot do that. You can't. This is where, look at who lost. You come out there short, or you play around and you BS and take your foot off the gas, you're gone.
Yeah.
Because all these teams that we didn't set up there that's been up here in that upper echelon throughout what this first 4 days of this tournament showed you was upper echelon don't mean nothing if you ain't going to put your foot on nobody's neck. Ask North Carolina.
Well, North Carolina,
North Carolina.
Okay. North Carolina, to me, they should have. I had them making it past VCU. I did not have them making it past.
I didn't either. And that's from a North Carolina fan. But
so am I. Yeah.
Right. But when you sit there and you have that lead, and then you take your foot off the gas and you give any type of mid-major team, no matter what it is, and all these mid-major teams had the same attitude and the same mentality throughout the games that they was playing with them. This is our Super Bowl. Y'all don't want to sign us up to play us any other time during the season.
Guess what?
We coming right at your throat. And they all treated it that way. When High Point's coach came off the court after they upset, and he sat there and said, "This is why we did this. They ain't want to play Miami. They ain't want to play us during the regular season. So this is our chance to show them that we can match up with them." And that's the exact reason why those Power Four conferences don't schedule those teams, because they don't want to take an L to those teams during the season, and I use that word team strongly when I say it. They don't want to lose to those teams with a bunch of freelance mercenary individuals that they put together, and then have that affect their ranking when they going into the tournament. And everybody that was hyped. Florida with their stupid play. Who else? North Carolina, which gonna cause their coach. Which, shoot, let's be real. Florida's coach might be gone too. It is not because they firing him. You got who else? Ohio State wet the bed. Kansas, that's going to be a question because the Kansas, realistically, if it wasn't for them turning it on in the last 6 minutes, they would have got boat raced out of there. And that was what we talked about last week. I didn't trust Kansas.
And that to me, because we all know Bill Self, that to me speaks more to all the hype that was going behind that young man, Darren Peterson.
But he showed up. But the crazy part about that game, the crazy part about the first round game against Cal Baptist, when Cal Baptist went on that run, and that guard for Cal Baptist better be in the league. Because that boy put on a clinic to bring them back as much as they did in that last 6 to 7 minutes of that game. And what happened?
Remember, I told you I was worried about that. I was because I actually got to watch him.
Yeah, he's bad.
I watched him on that play in, and I'm like, I'm worried about Kansas on that Cal Baptist, bro. But
the crazy part about that though was that when he was turning up like that, Peterson wasn't even calling for the ball. He was just standing. Peterson, you know who Peterson reminds me of? This generation's Kawhi Leonard.
Ooh.
I'm not going to clamor for the ball. I'm not going to. When I get the ball, I'm a beast with it. But I'll stand over here and let y'all cook. I won't sit up there and doing it. I'm over here.
Well, I mean,
and that's who he reminds me of. Everybody started saying, "Oh, his skill set is like Kobe's." They said the same shit about Kawhi, but Kawhi ain't got the drive. And this young man does not have that drive. Where everybody else that led their teams into this Sweet 16 or made it competitive for them before they got bounced out was running to the ball and saying, "Give me the ball." This dude was over in the corner. So if he does go, and just like Stephen A, I just heard the clip in my ear with Stephen A when he sat there and said, when they was like, "Is he a top 5 pick?" Stephen A said, "Hell no." Nah. I agree with him. This is where you make your money. This is where you make your star and become that superstar. Everybody who lost.
My bad. No, Kentucky messing around. Don't let West Virginia get within 3.
Oh Lord. But that's why I've been saying all these. This is everybody hears one shining moment whenever they see the NCAA tournament, because this is your time to put forth across the nation your whole work of art, your whole highlight reel. Put in that work during that time frame. You might have been a fringe. If you coming out this year, you might have been a fringe lottery pick, or you might have been a second round pick with no guarantee. You can play yourself into a first round draft pick with how you playing right now, with all the cameras on you against the big boys in there and handling them the way that you did. And on the flip side of it, you got a whole bunch of players that's sitting up there that's looking like they supposed to be top 5 picks that did not look good this weekend. Boozer has not looked good this weekend. Peterson, he did his points, but around the board.
Boozer, I'm not surprised at that, and I'm going to tell you why. He tends to try to Charles Barkley his way. And what I mean by that is he'll ask for the ball. Dude is bigger than him.
Mm-hmm.
clearly putting up a wall.
But
And
he
it's
wants to
like,
outmuscle him.
right. And he tries to outmuscle. And I'm like, what? Where is the, where's the understanding that even if you do it, there's going to be some nights you just can't do it. You got to come up with something else. And to me, that's what, as you put it, that's what makes him not look as good. Because as much as I respect that style of ball and I love that style of ball, if you know that you're going up against somebody that's going to give you a pretty that's giving you a pretty good fight, then you got to be you
You
got to
gotta
be able
be
to
able
switch
to
it.
you gotta be able to switch it up and become a stretch. You can't sit there and turn around and be that person and try to be that against. You going ready to go into a league where you ain't gonna be able to do that with Julius Randle.
No,
You ain't gonna be able to do that. You're not gonna be
they
able to
they
rough
could
house a LeBron down there.
they could have went. They could have him and Randall could have went into the league at the same time, and he wasn't doing that to Randall.
Right.
It's just no, it's just no, no.
But that's what I'm saying. But when you get comfortable and that's your play style and that's how they've coached you to be in there for it, when you get into that role, when you get into that that game time with that, and you trying to bang your way all onto that block, and you ain't getting no kind of momentum into there, you got a problem, and you're gonna have to figure out something.
Please tell me it's Kentucky's ball.
But that's what I'm saying. It was this tournament for the 16 that's left in there for this tournament. It's a lot of teams I don't have no faith in. I hate to say it, but it all comes down to what it is. West Virginia about to win it.
There's 7 seconds left, and they're within a point.
They got the ball.
Yeah, they just got the ball. I just saw some of the. Oh my God! I just saw some of the. Ugh. Mm, wow. Although I will say, and I hate to put anything on the refs, but there should have been a foul call, and it wasn't called. And it is what it is. The refs do what they do. They try as much as they can to like let the girls, let the guys play, but um. Uh, mm, geez, you know what? I don't want to get any more into in the college as much as we already have. I want to pivot a little bit,
Go ahead. We'll come back to
because
it because
oh yeah,
one of
yeah,
the
yeah. We
crackheads.
definitely we coming back to it because we got to talk about the brackets. So
Yeah,
so
this shit show.
all
It's
right,
I love
now I've listened to this multiple times, and I'm going to listen to it again. And I definitely wanted to talk about it as soon as you sent it to me. Because while I can agree that there are times where Nick Wright mouth opens and it's like
Oh my God.
you just saying stuff for clicks. I I hate to be the devil's advocate, but I see what he was trying to say. And hold on, let's just build context. Let's
You're
start there.
agreeing with Nick Wright?
Hold on. Hold on. It,
Oh, this is about to get juicy.
it's not what you think. Hold on.
Oh, okay, I'm about to say like, oh
Oh,
shit.
let's hold on. This it's not what you think, but I'm not saying that I'm completely out on him. Hold on.
Situation. You're saying Brady was in as good of a situation as you're saying Brady was in as good of a situation as Mahomes when he took over as a starter. Absolutely.
You hear it, right?
Mhm.
That is that's an unacceptable opinion.
Having
Like
the
you
best
said,
group,
they won 5 games.
having the best defense in the NFL, where you
That
can,
best defense was 5 and 11 the year
that they won a Super Bowl by scoring 2 offensive touchdowns.
Who
I'm
cares?
not denying that
Let me
Belichick
shut
was a
up.
great defensive coach, but to say you took a team, Brady took over a team that was 5 and 11 and 0 and 2 when he took over as a starter. Mahomes took over a team that had made the playoffs 3 straight years and had Pro Bowl receivers and running back.
And again, we are.
How is that comparable?
Because you are talking about the offense he took over. I am talking about the team he took over, and I think Tom Brady being dropped into a team that in his first 4 years, 3 of them had either the best, second best, or third best scoring defense, and in Patrick's first 4 years as a starter, they had the worst, third worst, and then a league average defense. I think that offsets the weapons.
It does not. That's no way. That is, and you know, I'm a Mahomes guy. There is no way Brady stepped into as good of a situation as Mahomes.
Not when he had the ball. But Brady was able to win a Super Bowl by scoring 17 points. He was able to win the Tuck Rule game by scoring 16 points. Patrick, his first year against Tom Brady, led 3 fourth-quarter comebacks and lost. Like, how we can't offset the fact.
So you're saying the Patriots, the 5 and 11 Patriots, were as good as the 12 and 4 Chiefs? 11 and 5.
You are focusing on the year before they got there.
Yeah, because that's the situation you're dropping to. Everything after that, you contributed to. So you can't tell me. Hold on. You can't. Brady. Okay, so when Drew Bledsoe gets hurt, when they're 0-2, the defense that had lost 13 of his last 18 games all of a sudden became like Belichick forgot with Bledsoe how to coach defense. But once Brady came in there, he learned how to coach defense.
Hold on. What's the flip side of the opinion is what? That because what you're saying is the defense was bad, and then Brady got.
No, I'm saying they immediately started winning when Tom Brady became the starter.
Why was the defense
and they were bad before that?
Why was the defense?
The defense was great. I think it is.
No, they weren't.
Utterly ridiculous for anyone to say that Tom Brady stepped into a situation that was just.
And that's why I said my answer is not going to be what you think. Okay. So now I'm gonna let you. I'm gonna let you go. Go ahead and vent because I know
this is why, folks. The reason why we tell you guys to come watch us and don't watch nobody on any of the 4-letter or 3-letter networks because they all full of shit and they don't know what the fuck they talking about. This is the reason why we sit there and say this. Now, Nick Wright, Mr. Blowhard, just sat there and said, "Oh my God, the team that Tom Brady, the GOAT, took over was a better defense." Okay, so what will we constitute a better defense? Here's the stats, folks. In 2000, the New England Patriots defense ranked 16th in points allowed, giving up 21.1 points per game, 338 total. They finished the season 5-11 with a defense allowing 38 touchdowns.
that's the year they went to the Super Bowl.
No, that's 2000 was 5-11. That was the year they went. That was the year before.
Okay.
So they came into the season with the 16th. If you remember, there's 32 teams in the league, folks. So that means they were dead in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And then they started out 0-2. Drew Bledsoe gets hurt. And then all of a sudden, the football Lord and Savior comes down from Michigan and sits down and behind quarterback and sits there and says, hike. And New England's whole fortunes magically transformed for 2 decades. Your whole argument that he inherited a team that was better suited is ill-advised. That team was not good. The last time that team was good was the 1998-99 season when they went to the Super Bowl and they went up against the greatest show on turf.
Mm-hmm.
That is it. That year after that Super Bowl, they tanked. So no, that is not a valid reason for you to sit there and say that, oh, well, they just did this and they were okay and they were a better defensive rated team than them. No. Now on the flip side, for what Broussard was saying, The defense, wait, let's see if this sounds anything familiar. The defense for Kansas City in 2017, the year that Mahomes was drafted, was ranked 15th in the league in points allowed at 21.2 points per game. They ranked 15th in yards allowed per game, and that defense was their defense was effective in creating turnovers. They had a plus 15 turnover differential. So if they had a plus 15 turnover differential and they were in the middle of the road as a defense, how many times have we sat there and said, if you are at average or above defense with a stellar quarterback, which they had at that time?
Oh my God. Holy crap.
Make it make sense.
Holy crap.
Because the whole argument became null and void when you sat there and you saw a 5-11 team with Drew Bledsoe get taken over by Tom Brady and then went to the Super Bowl versus a team that was, what was Kansas City's record in 2017?
11-5, wasn't it?
No, they wasn't 8-5.
No, I said 11-5.
I don't think so. Hold on.
I thought that's what they said during the thing.
Chiefs record in 2017. Ten to 6.
10-6. Close.
10-6. They lost in the wild card.
Okay. Now, oddly, I still stand by what I'm about to say, but what you said about the defenses and their rankings at the time when the quarterbacks first showed up kind of makes me understand where Nick thought he also made me figure out where Nick thought he was going with it. So, but my thing is this. I think Nick used the wrong argument.
Which is par for the course.
I can agree with what he said, but not for the reason that he said. Now, if he had said that based upon the coaching and the coaching only, you might have an argument there.
If he would have said that with the weapons,
that's the way Chris was. That was the biggest reason that I understood that Chris was disagreeing with it, and Chris was absolutely right. It's like no. What weapons on offense, and that's what Nick knew that he thought where he thought he was going, but that's not where he was going with it. He was talking about as a team as a whole, which even team as a whole. Offensive side alone, Tariq leaves all. You can just mention Tariq, and you're leaving everything in the dust.
Right.
You haven't even gotten to what Mahomes ended up being. You haven't gotten to the running backs they had at the time. Kareem Hunt before he got in trouble. So no. So now, if he had said from a coaching standpoint, they both went into the best situations that you would want somebody going into, I got no argument with that. Now, if you start talking about the team as a whole, details become important, which is why it was good that Chris Broussard disagreed, even though technically he ended up creating some issues of his own in his argument.
Yes, he did.
And that's why I now what made my argument murky was when you basically admitted that that basically both defenses at the time that the guys showed up
Was middle of the road.
was middle of the road. And even in that, KC had a slight edge because they were better at getting turnovers.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, well, now other than that, the things that made that made those teams better offensively. Okay. You got Mahomes and Brady. Seeing how everything turned out, you can say that's a tie.
Right.
Running back wise, nobody knew that Antoine Smith could be Antoine Smith until the playoffs hit.
Nope. You're right.
Oh no, because it shocked the hell out of me. Oh, trust me, I will never. That year is remembered by me for two reasons. The offensive line showed up out of nowhere in the wild card game, and Antoine Smith went from being he went back to being the Antoine Smith that everybody had faith in when he was with the Titans.
Yeah.
And like I said, it came out of nowhere because their offensive line was just like it was just like ugh. And then all of a sudden they had run game in the playoffs.
Yeah. And it made it to where it was like, what are you trying to do with that squad when you come down? When you think about that squad, also think about it from this standpoint. How many no-name people did Brady turn into household names and make millions of dollars from being on the team with him?
But that I won't give completely to Brady.
I won't give it completely to Brady, but we can't say the same thing about Mahomes.
Right. Now, and that would give him a edge over Mahomes. We've talked about it. I've been talking about it for years. But the reason why I said that is because you notice the offense got weaker every time they lost a coordinator. The defense, me and you done talked about it. The defense, for as good as it was, that defense wasn't as good as it was after them first three Super Bowls and Romeo Crennel left and never came back.
No.
Just like the wide receiver core wasn't quite the same after Bill O'Brien left. They had people. Patricia, O'Brien, Mr. Spygate himself, Josh. When they left, you saw the weaknesses in the team. They took a hit. All of those guys were important. They would have been able to have a very interesting of a run had they been able to have kept all them guys in place.
Yeah. But that's why it comes down to everybody plays this game, and one of the things that we don't like to do is play that shoulda, coulda, woulda game. and that's what you can tell when it's a slow news day. Right. When they start playing the shoulda, coulda, woulda games on the network talk shows. And that's what this was a shoulda, coulda, woulda game.
Because I personally do not mind talking all college basketball.
Right. I don't have no problem with I don't have no problem with talk. We can sit there and stay in the moment and do this. We don't have to rely on a Patrick Mahomes name, a Tom Brady name. They talking about this, and ain't nobody mentioned nothing about how the NFL players got shellacked by a USA flag football team this weekend.
Man, not you too.
No, dude, I watched some of those games. When I tell you that there were certain things to where, yeah, even if the NFL players was playing at their peak with that, there were some of them moves that them players knew because they knew the rules and the NFL players didn't, that they was getting schooled.
Right. And that's even another reason. It's like,
right.
Oh, come on.
But this is what happens. But what do I always say? If you don't want to show your shortcomings, don't put yourself in the spotlight.
Fair.
You put this together. It was supposed to be over in Dubai. It's supposed to be out in the desert with all the Saudi money. But because of everything going on over there, you brought it over here. Everybody's lined up and ready to play. And none of the NFL teams look good.
Well,
none of them.
Well, I mean, of course they didn't. Now, and I'm glad you brought this up because this was one of the things I wanted to. This is one of the things that I did want to talk about. So let's go ahead and pivot for a second. No, I don't care.
I don't either.
I don't care what you give me, just because those guys that have been playing under those rules, that profession, longer than the NFL players. Please miss me with all this crap. People posting online talking about how some dude schooled school. Oh, the NFL players got schooled and outplayed. Okay, I tell you what. You fought before.
Mm-hmm.
Go get in the boxing ring and be dominant.
No, right, and I'm not. And I say this all jokingly because the fact of the matter is this: for as much as we just was talking about with college basketball, with mid majors playing up to playing against the higher major teams because they don't never want to play them in they world or in their arenas with it. This was a prime example of professional players playing against flag football players in their world, and they set up, and they sat there and they was like, we about to take full advantage of this. Because it was like they was trying to score where this looked like the NFL playing the Pro Bowl against a professional flag football team. And that's what it was. They sat there, they was going through the motions, they was playing around and everything else like that until they saw Sean Payton on the sideline getting pissed. Like, what are y'all doing? Because here's the thing that they fail to realize.
And that's the other factor. It's like were they taking it seriously? Remember, they don't.
You can't.
We see them playing flag football during the Pro Bowl weekend. They ain't taking that seriously.
But here's the problem with that whole thought process, and this is why it came to a head. Flag football is an Olympic sport now, and all of y'all are sitting up here saying y'all want to play to represent the country in flag football. These people that was out there are already on the team. You think if they ain't got no chance of making the NFL or even the XFL right now with that, and this is all they got, you think that they gonna let you come in there and take food off of their table? No, they gonna take it seriously.
And that was another thing that I wanted to talk about. Because that was gonna be a two-parter. Let me know. My bad for cutting you off, but
you
cool. Did you have anything else to say before I touched the other subject?
No, because I thought it was hilarious because I'm sitting up here watching Burrow and me as a Cincinnati, as a Joe Burrow fan, not as a Bengals fan, as a Joe Burrow fan, I'm like, Joe, what the hell are you doing? Why are you doing this? Why? You have fun. Why are you running? Why are you catching a pass and taking a bump? You get hurt. You just came off of a foot injury. Sit your ass down.
And that
But
opens up the door to my question because uh I only had like one game to watch when all the games started. I did a re-go through of Get Up and First Take because I didn't watch them when they first came on. So it made me raise this question. So let me get this straight. You don't want to do, you want to do as little as possible. And I understand details are important. Let me make that let me make it clear. I understand that details are important. But still, let me get this straight. You're getting paid millions of dollars. Want to do as little as possible so that you can make it through a season. To make sure you can make it through a season, even though it is proven. And that's going to bring up another subject, but I'll leave it till we finish this one. Let me get this straight. You want to do as little as possible to make sure that you can make it through a season, making millions of dollars. But you are willing to play flag football. I get it. It's for a medal. Like I said, details are important, right? But you are willing to put more on the line for a gold medal than you are for the Super Bowl. What you get paid for, directly paid for. This just became a thing. This just became a thing for you to get a gold medal. I get you want to get a gold medal. I get that, whatever. Okay. Okay. But you get paid millions. And don't want to and don't want to show up and go all out to make sure you're ready week 1 so that you can help take your team to a Super Bowl. That is an actual part of your job.
I can't give this one to you. I can't give this one to you. And the only reason why I can't give this one to you now, the only reason why I can't give it to you now is that
you technically already did, but go ahead.
In 2028, this is the first time doing it for a medal. This is the first time. It's never been an Olympic sport up until this point. This is the first time they're going down that path. Now, that's why that part of it, I gotta kind of every player that you hear from in sports, be it you seen how they were acting about the World Baseball Classic just to be able to say that they were the world best, or when the NBA players are playing the Olympics or in the FIBA and everything else. With that, oh God, what happened? What happened?
I picked wrong. This is on me. I picked wrong.
Okay.
I picked wrong. It's on me the way it's looking. I should have known better. A lot of my losses have come because I didn't pick right. That's all right.
But like we were saying with the NBA players and when they playing in FIBA and in the World Cup, in the not for World Cup, FIBA World Cup and in the Olympics, they want to win it for their country. This is the first time NFL players have ever even had that opportunity to win something for country for it. So I kind of give them that one. But we're 2026. The Olympics is the summer of 2028. My biggest thing that I have is that you had, and let's call it what it was, you had Fanatics who has deals and sponsorships with these players out there playing a game for that company, because that's what all it was. It was a Fanatics event. Had them playing it for their thing to where one misstep, one twist, one wrong pull, and you're affecting your NFL team. You're affecting your NFL team with it. And this is where here's my issue. As a owner, if I was an owner, And I know for a fact that Joe Burrow just came off of a foot injury that cost him most of the season, and he barely came back for the last part of the season to give us a fighting chance. There's no way you're doing anything that could put your foot at jeopardy except for you working out in the gym to get ready for the next part of the season. And that's as an owner telling that down to it. But what you have is, and I'm not going to miss no words, you got a whole bunch of weak-ass owners that don't want to sit up there and put their foot down and say, I'm invested in you. You need to adhere to your contract to where if you do something wrong, because here's the thing, would I be wrong if you got hurt that I voided your contract? You got hurt in a non-football injury. And that's that slippery slope. We trying to give these players all the leeway to have their fun and do what they do in the off season. But what you do in the off season, if it becomes a direct risk to you being available for you to do your job, I got an issue with that. And yeah, it's flag football. Yeah, it's fun. They sit up there. They might be playing football and everything else off of there. This was a televised event to where what would have been a news story? What would have been a news story if Joe Burrow would have rolled that foot again? Would they have even cared about it being? Would they have even cared about it being a flag football event? No, the headline would have been star quarterback Joe Burrow hurts his foot during flag football game.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing. You bringing that up, you basically, you weren't trying, but you did kind of
I gave
buy into my point.
Right. The only part of your point that you gave that I kind of just, the only part of your point that you gave that I kind of just said, hold on off on that was the point of playing for a Olympic medal for country. That part of it compartmentalized and kind of sit that to the side. Because let's be real, not everybody that's going to try out for that team is going to make it. It's only a certain amount of players that they're going to have go out there and go do it.
To me, but like it was said, when is that happening? During the summer. Wait, y'all supposed to be in training camp. So you're going to get ready.
But the NFL gave the go ahead.
I know the NFL gave them the go ahead, and because Roger Goodell saw money.
Exactly.
And we know that if he can see the money in it, he gonna let him do. He gonna let him do.
If he sees the money in the advertisement for it,
right? So and the other part is the owners can't say too much because they have to make sure that because of the players union that whatever they agree to, they have to adhere to it. And unfortunately, that means that there's a lot of stuff in there to give players leeway. Mm-hmm. So that's why it makes the owners, quote unquote, as you put it, look weak. It's not that they weak, because we know that if Jerry really don't want to do something, CBA be damned. And Roger Goodell is not coming after him.
Right.
He will let it be known, like, this ain't it.
But that's where that question comes into play. If this would have been Joe Burrow fresh off of a full season of playing and he's doing this in his leisure, that's fine. This is Joe Burrow coming off of another injury. And again, I'm not saying this as a Joe Burrow hater. Everybody knows I am a Joe Burrow fan before I'm a Cincinnati Bengal fan.
Yeah.
But I'm saying this as a Joe Burrow fan, like, dude, I had to go through a whole season of sitting up there trying to tell people, oh, he would have been better if he would have been out there playing. And then you turn around after you come off the injury and you out playing flag football. I would rather have you walk on a runway.
Well, it's flag football. It's not
right. But again, if it's flag football, when you back there and you just throwing the ball, cool. You throwing it back and then you running routes for them to throw you the ball and you trying to jump back and forth in order to go through everything. No.
And then somebody, which I get him raising his hands at the ref, was like, wait, this is flag football. I just got hit. what are we doing?
Right, because
That should be a penalty per se.
right, but
Like
again,
we're not tackling.
you're again playing against players to where this is their Super Bowl. Even if it is a fanatics fest, this
Right.
is their Super Bowl.
You're not taking it seriously, and
You're
they
not
taking
taking
it
it
every
serious as much as they are.
right. Which was another reason why I just laughed at people when I kept seeing it online, like oh man, the NFL players got schooled. It's like, man, stop. It's
I would
flag
have thought that
football.
they would have put up more points, but it was like I think they said like combined scores, the flag football team in the 3 games they played outscored the NFL players like 108-40. It was like, dude. It was like they in some of the on one of the games, it looked like they spotted them points, and then they was like, all right, we done playing with y'all, and just boat raced them the rest of the game.
Yeah. Yep, I did that.
Uh-oh. Another loss?
No, that Vandy game ain't the Vandy game is not looking good at all. Um, they look like they trying to make it interesting, but not but for right now it's not looking good at the moment. I'm down by 10, and this is second quarter. But anyway, but yeah, so but my thing is this, and matter of fact, that was a perfect reason. Once again, my mindset is backed up. Details are always important. Just because you out in your neighborhood knocking people out, don't mean that you could get in that you could get in against a Riddick Bowe or a Holyfield or even a George Foreman or Mike Tyson, and you could do your thing. Details are important, bro. Getting into fights in the streets and then getting into a boxing ring. There's a reason
There's a bona fide reason for that.
what basically essentially what happened here was Conor McGregor versus Mayweather.
Right.
It's like yeah, we know Conor know how to throw hands, but you got in a boxing ring.
Right. You got a boxing ring, and what you might have flashed in a couple of seconds between kicks and punches, you gotta just throw. You can't do no kicks and punches throughout this whole thing. You gotta fight through it you gotta go through it every way, shape, or form.
Yeah, everything is all punches, and you being a counter person have to become the have to fully on. He's a Connor was an aggressive counter puncher.
Yeah.
Well, against Mayweather, you have to just be aggressive.
Yeah. You have to push
And then he's the counter. So he's going to counter you. And he's willing to go 12 rounds of that. That's why he stood no chance in that. Not to mention that goes 12 rounds, which even if you add up, let's see here, 3 rounds.
I think 36 minutes for a 12-round fight. And
compared to 15 minutes.
No, 25 if it's a championship.
Yeah, 25 if it's a championship. But he's not like Anderson. He don't train for 25 minutes, like no matter what, at least initially when he was whooping everybody. I don't know what happened toward the end.
He got lazy.
But and that's why I said he should have retired. He should have retired way before he fought Weidman. But that's another conversation for another day. Now, going through what's next. Both of these are college, so yeah, let's just go ahead and get into it, and then that'll walk us into the bracket. So this one you sent me, it was talking about Blue Bloods.
Oh yeah. Good old
Carolina.
Ray Williams.
Other blue bloods, Kansas, North Carolina, all failed to make it out of the first weekend. And so there's a concern about these blue bloods, but which one is the highest of concerning? Is it Kentucky, Kansas, or North Carolina? Jay, what do you think?
There's no question it's North Carolina.
Mhm.
And I'm saying this growing up as a North Carolina fan. Like, if North Carolina didn't have that logo, I'm not sure we'd be talking about them as a blue blood over the last 5 years since COVID. Relevancy is currency. And I can make a case that they're not a top 5 current relevant team in college basketball right now, which is crazy when you think about this is a brand that some of the most elite of the elite have worn, from Michael Jordan to Vince Carter to Jerry Stackhouse. I mean, the last time they had a top 5 pick was in 2005. Now they'll have one this year with Caleb Wilson. But let me actually put together a list. Stephen A., I know you like your A's list. Let me give you a list of my top 5 most relevant college basketball brands right now in the last 5 years since COVID. Number 1, UConn, back-to-back titles. Dan Hurley, a personality that extends and it kind of epitomizes what college basketball is. Duke, you can make a case, hey, number 1 recruiting class, 3 out of John Shire's 4 years, with another number 1 recruiting class last year. Back-to-back National Players of the Year, Cooper Flagg, Cameron Boozer this year. Kansas, I mean, you talk about conference dominance. Bill Self has won the conference regular season to the Big 12, the best conference in America, 13 years straight. 13 years straight. And by the way, going to have a top 3 pick in Darren Peterson this year. Houston, where does Houston come from? Well, Houston, since they entered the Big 12 in the last couple of years, have dominated multiple number 1 seeds. And by the way, a number 2 seed again this year in Houston, will they have a chance to compete for another Final Four. And then Kentucky, I'm just going to give Kentucky praises for the fact it's Big Blue Nation. It's the largest social media platform outside of Duke to pay attention to in college basketball. Mark Pope is struggling a little bit in year 2. They should have had a chance to get to the Final Four this year. They underachieved. But to me, I can make a case that Florida is more relevant of a program than North Carolina right now. I can make a case that Gonzaga is more relevant of a program than North Carolina right now. I'm not saying historically in the last 100 years, but in the last 5 years, Stephen A., you're damn right. I'm going to make that case.
I
want my draft picks back for the Max Crosby you sold me.
All right. So I agree with Jay Williams all the way to the end. And I'm going to tell you why. If you look at the bracket from this year, realistically, only at the number 1 and number 2 seeds, would we say Duke is basically been on the map every year for the past 5 years? Yes. Can we say UConn? Definitely. Florida? Yes. Houston? Yes. Arizona just made it back. Arizona had a little bit of time when Sean Miller was on the back end of it, before he got ousted out of there to where he was irrelevant. Arizona just made it back, but we can say that they on the cusp of it. Purdue, yes, because Purdue has been, even with Zach Edey was there, Purdue has been a prominent team up there fighting for a championship over the past 5 years. Michigan just made it back, so we won't put Michigan on there yet. And then Iowa State, then kind of meandering. He threw in Kentucky. Kentucky is not there. Over the past 5 years, Kentucky is not there. They've had the recruits. Yes, it's Blue Blood Nation, but we're talking about results on the court, not just your social media following. No, Kentucky is not in that ilk anymore. Kansas has been borderline. Yes, they've had the success, but they've not had it to translate to championships and wins in the tournament like it should have been in there for it. Who else we want to throw out there for it? Anybody, I mean, keeping it close to home. You can put North Carolina and UC in the same boat. Realistically, over the past 5 years, Carolina made that run that first year that Hubert Davis was in tow. Ever since then, they haven't done nothing. And they've always been meandering. They haven't even been topping the ACC in the past 5 years. They've been 3 or 4, maybe a 5 seed. So how in the world can we sit there? I agree with him when it came to that. I don't agree with Kentucky being thrown in there for it, but I agree with it because we're used to when you're thinking about North Carolina, like you said, you're thinking about the brand that Jordan built that gave you Stackhouse, Wallace, Carter, Williams, even up into pay. They were showing on they're showing on True TV the championship game from 10 years ago against Villanova when Villanova won on the last second shot with Marcus Page now. You saw you're used to every. For me, I use for a fact UC would give me at least a chance to get into the tournament up until the past 10 years ago, but I always knew that North Carolina would give me a title every 5 to 7 years. And they was nearly like clockwork. They would give you a title every 5 to 7 years. I have not felt that way with Hubert Davis. So when it comes to that blue blood level that we call it out for right now, no, they're not up there. And that's why they have to slam dunk with this hire. And they've already pulled Hubert Davis from doing his Monday talk show. They postponed it and said they would give out information at a later notice. He's getting ready to get bought out. And their next move, from all the names that they've been throwing out there, their next move is either Tom Golden from Florida, which would be a coup, or get Nate Oates from Alabama, but Nate Oates is still playing, so they can't touch him. But they're going to have to do something because this is not, you cannot sit there and tell me especially after the debacle we were talking about the St. Mary's press conference after their game. Did you see the North Carolina press conference?
I did not.
Where Hubert Davis basically sat there. What coach was it that was defiant? Like, it was because I said so, or it was because I wanted to do it. I forgot what coach it was. I think it was in the NFL when stuff went left at the end of the game, and everybody knows it was strictly on the coaching. And when they asked him why did he do it, he's like, because I wanted to. That's exactly what Hubert Davis came across as in that press conference after that game. That's why when that game was over with, any thoughts of them keeping him as the head coach went out the window because he basically put himself above North Carolina basketball. And immediately all the pundits came out, and all the people from the board of directors was like, oh, no, we need to have a meeting about this. And they met on Sunday. And that's when they was like, that's when Sunday morning was when all the news started coming out saying that there was going to be a meeting about the future of his tenure with that, which anybody that can read the tea leaves know, if all your bosses are meeting together to talk about your tenure, it's meeting to see who's going to come up with the money to pay your ass off in order for you to go away. And that's where they're at right now. And his buyout, I think they said his buyout was 3.7.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not going to when Hubert Davis when Roy picked Hubert to take over for him, I thought that it was a great move to keep the continuity.
Mm-hmm.
But seeing as though around that same time that they made that move, Krzyzewski sat there and said Shire is the coach and waiting, and then transitioned and backed out of it. And do you see Coach K at any of the Duke games?
Sitting in the stands.
But not nowhere close to the coaching.
No.
Where do you see Roy Williams at?
I usually see him sitting in the stands.
But in some of the games, he'd be right behind the coaching staff.
Gotcha. Yeah, I see him sitting in the stands. I don't really pay attention to like where exactly he'd be sitting.
I try to pay attention to it because that's just like having the old chef, the whole old Michelin 5-star chef sitting right behind the chef that replaced him with all the associate chefs right in between them. And he's sitting there like, well, I wouldn't have cooked that filet mignon like that. I would have seared it over here for a little bit and put a little bit more garlic cloves on there in order to get the flavoring into it. But he didn't do that at all. He kind of just put the garlic powder on there and then put the cloves on top of it for it to do it. But that's just me. There has to be some type of separation.
Mhm.
And it's not, and I think that Hubert, after a while, it started to show that he could not, his recruiting, let's be real. I'm not even gonna sit up there and say that it was a star recruit. He lucked up on Caleb Wilson. You done had too much talent with Baycott, Cadeau, when Cadeau was there. You've had talent to where you could mesh that to where you could have been a contending team. And one of the worst things for a fan base to see is to see players that played for the team go somewhere else and start thriving. Because then you start saying, why couldn't they play like that when they was with us? And most of the time, it's either one, the play style didn't match up with the philosophy, which is something that you should have known when you recruited them, or their coach couldn't get the most out of that player, which goes back on the coaching.
Mhm.
Because that's the same thing. Watching the St. John's games, I was rooting for St. John's. I am rooting for St. John's, but it hurt my heart to see Dylan Mitchell out there playing and to hear his name get called constantly during that game, because he was doing everything that he had shown glimpses of doing for UC. And for some reason, Miller would never put him in the role that Patino put him as, and he's thriving in that role. That boy's going to be a first round draft pick, and he could have been that same way at UC if he was used properly. And it kills me looking at that, because I sit there, I look at him. Who's the player for I think he's in Detroit now. I gotta look that up. It's a player for Detroit that people would probably fail to realize he played for UC before he transferred. It ended up being a lottery pick.
Mhm.
This season.
I feel like and I'm trying to look up evidence to back it up. That's why I've more or less been quiet. I'm trying to figure out, I don't know if this is the Duke and Jay Williams, or if he honestly believes what he said. Because I was scratching my head as to why North Carolina, the reasoning. I don't mind him calling out Hubert Davis. I'm a North Carolina fan, have been since around 1990, 1991. I get calling him out because North Carolina don't look like North Carolina. But to bring up a bunch of teams and pick North Carolina out of those teams, when, like I said, I've been looking stuff up.
Sorry.
And I'm having a little difficulty with it, which was another let me see here. Since 2000. Okay. They kind of and I'm also, because the three teams, and I'm going off of the three teams that they mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to figure out, even if I understand that he deserves to be called out, because he definitely deserves to be called out. I'm not disputing that part. I'm just trying to figure out how, out of the three teams that he named, even based upon the reasons that he gave, how he came up with North Carolina.
Because they were talking about lead into that. was North Carolina considered? They brought North Carolina into the conversation at the beginning of it. If you listen to the beginning of the quote, whoever's hosting for it since Molly left, sat there and said would you consider North Carolina? Because North Carolina is termed as one of the original blue bloods.
Yeah. And I can get that, but again, what I don't get is out of all three, why North Carolina was mentioned. Because according to what I'm seeing, out of the three teams that you've named, whether it's the Final Four or the championship, North Carolina has been back to those more times since 2000 than the other two teams.
They were saying the last 5 years. They were saying last 5 years since COVID.
Well, even the last 5 years,
they haven't. Last 5 years, and I got it up here. Last 5 years, he took over.
But I get it, but and that's why I said, for me, it's the presentation.
But it's always the presentation with them doing them shows.
You want to call them out, call them out. But if you compare all three of those teams, it goes in this order. North Carolina would be number one. Number two would be Kansas, according to what I'm reading and able to quickly pull up.
Over the past 5 years?
Not over the past 5 years. Basically, what I did was appearances since 2000.
You can't look at it across 2000, because if you're looking at it across 2000, that's when Roy was there. That was Smith into Roy. I mean, that was
and
Smith
this is
to,
and this is why I'm saying.
Right, but they're not looking at that. They're looking at since really when NIL and everything started to come into play in 2020, and when COVID hit, they wiped out that season. They're looking in that section of it. And that's what they're looking. They're pigeonholing it into the last 5 years with Davis at the helm, ever since he took over. And what he was highlighting on was that in that situation during that time frame, you had Davis there take over. You then had Shire come in there and take over, and then everybody else had, and then you had Golden come in Florida. You had Golden come in Florida, and you had Arizona had a change. Everybody else stood pat with their coaching. And what has happened was, if you look at over the past 5 years, while everybody else has went like this, Carolina has went like this. And the brand is not bringing in the talent, or the coaching is not matching up with the talent in order to keep Carolina on that level. And you got Houston that it came out. Houston's been fired under Kevin Sampson. They just can't win a championship. UConn went back to back during that time frame. Florida before yesterday, Florida been prominent in there. You got teams and then Duke has not fell off. So it's like, what do you do? What do you do to keep yourself up there in that conversation when realistically you can? I agree with you. I don't put Kansas. Kansas is on the border of it with what they've done over the past 5 years. They've underachieved too much.
Plus, with all these other teams that we're naming, name their competition. That's the one Kansas thing that North Carolina has over the other two. When you mention Kansas, who is a dominant, prominent problem on a national level. They might be a prominent. That's on
in the Big 12. You got Kansas, and Kansas. That's the one.
And how many championships and how many championships have they gone to?
Houston has gone to 2 national championships since then in the past 5 years and lost them both. I want to say Houston's lost 2 national championships in the past 5 years. And Kansas, the crazy part about that whole stat when it comes to Kansas is Kansas has won the Big 12 regular season all 5 years, but they've only won the conference tournament once. Houston had won back to back.
Okay. yeah, but Houston, nobody fears Houston on a national level, like compared to
What?
North Carolina and Duke. So wait, you mean to
Lately,
tell me?
yes. Lately, yes.
So you mean to tell me that when people think about teams in a conference that you have to fear,
They don't
they
fear Carolina no more. That's the problem with the situation right now. Nobody fears Carolina no more.
nobody fears Carolina, but while nobody fears Carolina, Carolina always has to deal with Duke. That's always been a thing.
Right. But but like I said with that,
So
even with that,
partially there's going to be theirs is going to be a little bit of a okay, yeah, they need to step it up, but it's not like they the only ones dominating their whole division.
but
So
this
so
okay.
so
So
so in,
hold on. I'm about to piggyback off of that. Since 2021 in the ACC, Duke 2021 Duke finished 1, Carolina finished 2. 22-23 Duke finished 4th, Carolina finished 7th in the ACC. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, 7th. 23-24. Carolina won the conference. They won the regular season. That's when they went 17-3.
mm-hmm.
So that's one championship. That's one conference championship during that time frame, the regular season.
Mm-hmm.
But then I think that was the season that they got bounced out early in the tournament.
Mm-hmm. And then what happened? Yeah.
Oh no, that was the year. That was the year that NC State won the conference tournament and then ran off and made it to the Final Four that year.
Mm-hmm.
In 23-24.
Mm-hmm.
24-25. Carolina was 5th.
Carolina was 5th, and where was Duke?
1.
And 2024, where were they?
23-24. Carolina was 1, Duke was 2.
So in the past 5 years, Duke has been
One or two, except for that one year where both of them was off.
North Carolina, yeah, but even in those off years for both of them, the one thing that you always mentioned was Duke was above Carolina.
Yeah,
and that's
except for that one year.
that's more or less of what I was what I was meaning.
But the other part about that whole conversation, though, is that since that time frame started,
mm-hmm.
you've had Virginia,
mm-hmm.
that's been in the conversation every year. You had
mm-hmm.
that one year when Miami ran with Larnaga. You had the NC State run that was in there in the conference tournament for there. And then it was another year that I thought that it was Clemson that was up there in those top 3. So you're starting to hear the Louisvilles, the Virginias, the NC State. They're gone now. They're back out of it. You're starting to hear Miami, Virginia, and Louisville mentioned in the ACC as challenges. So when it happens, when that happens, and you can't, your tournament, your whole thing with Carolina, the last time Carolina won a national championship was what? 2017? That was the redemption year. Because 2016 was the year that they lost to Villanova, and then they came back. Everybody except for 3 players came back, and they went on a redemption tour, and they won the championship that next year.
Mm-hmm.
And then ever since then, you've been preseason ranked number 1, didn't make the tournament. Then in the past 5 years, you've been bounced out before the first weekend multiple years. So it's like, what at some point where you got right now in the ACC, you got Duke. Who else made it through there? Virginia. Duke is the only ACC team left. which is crazy when you think about it, because the ACC, you used to having 4, 5, or 6 teams. The ACC is not even the dominant conference anymore. So it's the whole dynamic of it, to where he said what he said with that. They were looking at recent history with it, and recent history is making it to where if you got a chance to play with Bill Self or Hubert Davis, you're going to play with Bill Self.
Well, duh.
Right, but that's the problem. It's not the brand is not bringing in those players to put North Carolina where it is, and then the coach is not developing them in that aspect of it. The players that they had when Roy Williams was there, them were not top recruits. You may have had one, maybe two, but Roy Williams developed them into a team that went up there and did that.
Cadeau is kind of making them look bad.
Right, Cadeau's making them look bad. How many years did they have Armand Baycott that was a quintessential almost every year player of the year candidate, and they never built around him? And he came back for a senior season for another chance for it, and they didn't do shit with it. That's why Davis
and that's my I think that's the other part of my point. If you're calling out Hubert, call out Hubert. Put it mainly on Hubert, because when you sit up there and you put it in the name of the Blue Bloods, then you're not just talking to Hubert Davis, even though he's from Carolina, he's not Carolina. And that's why I went in the direction that I went with, because when you say Blue Bloods, you're talking long history.
Right, but Hubert was underneath Roy. That's why they lumped him into that. He had been underneath Roy since Roy took it over. Which
again, that's why I went the way I went with it, and that's why I said if we want to talk about blue blood, aka history, because when you say blue bloods, you're not just talking about recent stuff. You're talking about longevity, longevity. North Carolina doesn't belong in this conversation. Now, if you are specifically going after, if anybody should be number one on that account, that would be Kentucky.
Yes.
And that's where my argument was coming from. It's like, wait a minute, if we talk about in the name of blue bloods, how many times did which one is worse? Not being able to get recruits, or constantly every year having it bragged across everything before everything switched over to both TV and social media, bragging about the fact that you got everybody and their mama on,
and you can't succeed. I
you couldn't get to a championship.
Mm-mm.
Now, as good as Bill Self has been, there's been some times where people were questioning him like they were doing Hubert, because it just wasn't panning out, and they knew how good he was, and they were doing it from, dude, we know how good you are. How come it ain't panning out? What's going on? Whereas with Hubert Davis, it's like, yeah, bro. You have never reached the potential, which that's the problem with North Carolina, Duke. Now you got to say anybody that goes in on Kansas. Now you got to add them to the list. Now you got to add St. John's to the list. Because of Pitino, whether you go to UK or you go to Louisville, you have an unfair standard coming at you that was set by him. And that's why you want to be careful what job you take, especially, dare I say it, especially if you're a brother.
Mm-hmm.
Because as me and you have talked about, if people really pay attention, now you can say how unfair it is, the coaching difference. But then I'll ask you a question. How many black ones that have gotten the championships? Question number one. Number two, this one's a little easier. How many black coaches have gotten into the playoffs of football or baseball or basketball, and they have a winning record?
No. And the only time, and to answer your question to that one, the only two coaches, and I always add him in there just because they got robbed, was 2020 when Anthony Smith lost his opportunity to take Dayton to the tournament, which Dayton would have probably ran away with that tournament because of COVID, and then Kevin Ollie and UConn. That's since 2014. There's only been two of them.
Yeah.
But when you look at the past, if they're looking at the past 5 years, right, for championships,
yeah,
you had Scott Drew, who beat Gonzaga. You had Self that beat Hubert Davis and Carolina when they made it to in 2022, that 21-22 season. That was his first year there.
Okay.
And then you had San Diego State, Purdue, UConn went back-to-back, Houston and Florida. That was the one that I thought Houston went twice. I think San Diego State beat Houston that year in order to keep Houston out of it when they lost to UConn that year. But so you got out of the new blue bloods. I don't put Gonzaga in that whole category like he put it in there. That was the other point that I had because
they're not consistent enough.
No, they are consistent enough. But here's the conversation. Here's the conversation I have with Gonzaga that a lot of people are afraid to have. What makes Gonzaga in the WCC conference any different than Miami of Ohio that went undefeated? Who does Gonzaga play besides people just started putting Gonzaga on their schedules because their name recognition started to shoot up when they first came onto the scene. But back in the day, did anybody want to play Gonzaga? No. And what was Gonzaga doing? Running up 30 win seasons, then getting in a tournament, and then nutting up and losing. So what's the difference? The only difference is Gonzaga's name recognition got them to where now they got a seat at the table to where they can play against a Kentucky, they can play against a UConn, they can play against them in there because the name recognition of Gonzaga is going to reign. Same thing like it was with Butler. They don't play them mid-majors like that, but everybody gives Gonzaga the benefit of the doubt. Why? Because the name recognition of Gonzaga makes them be to where they get a high-ranked seed. They haven't done anything to earn that in 5-some-odd years. So at the end of the day, all they are is a glorified Miami.
So yeah, wait, no, you just how you gonna kill my point and then make my point?
How did I kill your point?
You told me that Gonzaga was consistent enough
I said they were consistent enough with the wins, but the only reason why they get that notoriety is because their name recognition put them back up there for it. If you was to take their resume and take their name off of it and put their conference up there and put it up there against Miami, you would put Miami in there with a one loss in the tournament versus Gonzaga's name. If it was a blind taste test, because you would have looked at the records, you wouldn't have worried about the strength. The only reason why they strength of schedule was bumped up their highs because the teams they played out of conference.
And that was
that's due
what
to
killed
their
Miami.
history. Right. That was due to their history. People is not playing Gonzaga because Gonzaga is a strong school. They're playing Gonzaga because that name Gonzaga will get you viewership on TV. Because they've been everybody's darlings for years.
They kept getting back to they kept getting to the tournament even though they weren't doing much in the tournament.
No. And how many 1 and 2 seeds have they gotten and they ain't made it to they're gonna Final Four?
Yeah. And that's where I was coming from when I went when they're not consistent. I know from a getting there they're consistent, but it was like once you get there it's like
you ain't doing nothing.
It's like, and so all right, this is fun. All right,
Jay Williams always get some type of rise out of me. I agree with him. I agree with him to a certain point. But and looking at this, you can't put Kentucky in that again. You can't put Kentucky in that top 5 just because their social media standpoint. And the last time Kentucky made
and that's what everybody's doing now. Now people are adding social media to it, and I could care less about the social media aspect of it. Your job is not to have a high social media. We know that the people in Kentucky love Kentucky. Yeah, they gonna have a high following. Their actual social media page could look like hot horse crap on a stick. It's not going to matter because the UK fans, because of the history of their winning, they going to be there. Now,
here's the crazy part. When was the last time Kentucky was in a national championship game?
2012.
Nope, 2014. They lost to Kevin Ollie.
They lost. Okay.
Now, since then, Duke has been in. Here's caveat number 2. How many championship games has Duke been in since 2014?
1, maybe 2.
1.
Okay.
Wisconsin's been in 1. Villanova's been in 2. North Carolina's been in 3.
Which and see, that's what I'm talking about.
That's stretching out.
That's my argument.
That's stretching out 10 years.
Right.
That's stretching out 10 years with that one. Gonzaga's been in 2. Michigan's been in 1. Virginia's been in 1. Texas Tech been in 1. Baylor's been in 1. I said Gonzaga's 2. Kansas only been in 1. UConn's been in 2. San Diego State, Purdue, Florida, and Houston. So
and that's why I was like, out of all 3 of these teams, like even to what you just presented, why I said
Kentucky shouldn't be top 5.
Why when you're talking blue bloods out of the 3 that you picked, it's like, no, if anybody should be on the questioning tree, it should be Kentucky, because out of all 3 of them teams, how many teams for so many years, I don't know about recently, but I know for the longest time, especially when Calipari was there, they stayed having the most McDonald All-Americans. They stayed having the most of them, and yet during that time, and I'm sure that's why while Calipari was there, that was 2 championships. But
Calipari only got, for everything that everybody says, and this is the one thing, and I'm glad you mentioned that. The one thing that people fail to realize is that Calipari only got 1 championship in Kentucky.
Okay.
That's it.
Did he go to 2?
He went to 2. He only got 1.
Yeah. That's what I was saying. I was like,
right.
You had me confused at first. I'm like, wait, no.
But the fact of the matter was that Calipari lived off of that one and done mentality until they created the G League. When they created the G League, it killed that one and done.
Which should have killed the one and done. Is so ridiculous. God, I hate that was ever a thing. Because a lot of those players, if you really think about it, how many of them actually panned out?
You know what? I will say this one, a lot of them. When you really think about Kentucky's run that they had with Calipari as their coach, I want to say he had 50-something first-round draft picks, and at least.
Well, I was speaking in general, but go ahead with your point, because this is actually interesting to me.
Because Calipari, when he took over in 2009, these are some of the players that came out of there: John Wall,
okay,
Marcus Cousins, Eric Bledsoe,
okay,
Brandon Knight,
okay,
Anthony Davis, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist.
Okay.
Where'd it go? Damn, they cut off everything after. Damn, what happened?
I know De'Aaron is on there, right?
Yeah.
De'Aaron Fox.
There's a gap on here from like 2014 to that's weird. I'm looking at it on the I'm looking at it under on Wikipedia. NBA players coached under. All right, man. Yeah. Yeah, here it is. He coached over 50 NBA draft picks, including 41 first-round draft picks since 2004 overall number ones. Derrick Rose, John Wall, Anthony Davis, and Karl Anthony Towns. Devin Booker, John Wall, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, Jamal Murray, De'Aaron Fox, Tyrese Maxey, Tyler Hero, Malik Monk, Eric Bledsoe, Emmanuel Quickley. Then Anthony Davis, Karl Anthony Towns, DeMarcus Cousins. Those are the picks that was signed that was underneath him in his era. Patrick Patterson, I forgot about him. And some of these players they ain't really they played and then they disappeared.
Yeah, like Cousins.
Well, no, because Cousins had a run where he was dominant, and then
He just couldn't keep his attitude in check.
he couldn't keep his attitude in check. And then he had to run when he went with Golden State for a little bit.
Yeah, but that didn't last long because he didn't mesh.
Oh shit, Julius Randle.
Yeah, Julius Randle too. Yeah.
Nerlens Noel, Willie
Yeah.
Cauley-Stein, Trey Lyles.
Injuries took out Noel's, didn't it?
Yep. Andrew Harrison, Skylar Bossier, that was a bust. Tyler Eulis, Bam Adebayo, Kevin Knox, Jared Vanderbilt, Hamidou Diallo, PJ Washington. Yeah.
Oh, PJ Washington. I like that.
Yep.
I like him.
Isaiah Jackson, Shaden Sharp, Tata Washington, Cason Wallace, Chris Livingston, Reed Shepard, Rob Dillingham. Yeah, he's had a run.
Now, when you say a lot of them worked out, I need a criteria before we move on.
If you're saying okay, for me, worked out is one, you've been in the league longer than 5 years, or you've been an all-pro / champion within that time frame. So let's go through them. John Wall, that worked out because he was a 5-time All-Star.
Okay.
DeMarcus Cousins was a 4-time All-Star.
Okay.
I won't call Patrick Patterson.
Okay.
Eric Bledsoe, he was a prominent role player throughout his league at OKC and the Clippers. He had a good season.
Yeah, I remember him. I remember him. I actually liked him. Go ahead.
I won't count Orton. I won't call Ennis Freedom. Well, Ennis Freedom is Ennis Cantor.
Oh, his views got him canceled.
Yeah, his views got him canceled. Brandon Knight, he was okay, but he didn't really do too much. Josh Harrelson didn't do too much in there. DeAndre Liggins didn't do too much.
Okay.
Anthony Davis, Mr. Glass, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist. He had a pretty good career, but he got injury prone.
Yeah, and he was in that started messing with his consistency.
Yep. Terrence Jones, I won't count him.
Okay.
Marcus Teague, I won't count him.
Right.
Doran Lamb, won't count him. Darius Miller, I won't count him. Nerlens Noel, injury prone. Archie Goodwin, no. Julius Randle, gotta count him. James Young, I'm not counting him. Karl Anthony Towns, we gotta count him.
Yeah.
Willie Cauley-Stein, he was a role player, but he was a strong role player
Yeah.
while he was in the league. Now he's out of the league again. Trey Lyles, he was a no. Devin Booker, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Andrew Harrison, no. Dakari Johnson, no. Jamal Murray, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Sky Labassiere, no. Tyler Eulis, no. He was okay, but then he got hurt.
Right.
De'Aaron Fox, yeah. Malik Monk, yeah. Bam Adebayo, yeah. Kevin Knox, nah. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, hell yeah.
Right.
Jared Vanderbilt, he's been a pretty good role player.
Right. Especially, yeah. We'll say yeah, and then we'll take a quick moment to talk about something that I know you're not gonna want to talk about, but some stuff needs to be pointed out. Go ahead.
Hamidou Diallo, he won that slam dunk contest, and then it was like whatever. BJ Washington, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler Hero, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Kendon Johnson, he's still in training. Tyrese Maxey, yeah. Because he took over being the face of the 76.
Yeah.
Emmanuel Quickly, yeah, because he about to re-sign for a 5-year deal with the Raptors. Or he just re-signed with the Raptors. Nick Richards, role player. And Isaiah Jackson, Brandon Boston. I forgot he was even playing. Shaden Sharp, okay. Nah. Ty Washington, no. Kaysen and Chris Livingston. Everybody else at the back of it is like role players. And then Rob Dillingham with Minnesota. But I think he just got traded.
Gotcha.
So about a good 10 to 15 of them.
Mm-hmm.
So I won't say he had the players. He just couldn't translate it to championships.
Right.
And that's
which that is another that's hard to do. I don't care who you are. It is hard to do. It's one thing to just be consistent. It's one thing you got a better chance of like getting players and winning the regular season every year than you do winning in the postseason and winning championships.
Oh yeah.
That's what made, no matter what you want to say about the whole thing with the Patriots, that's what made that just like the head scratching this thing, especially for the level of talent of players that he mostly had at the end of the day. So yeah. Now we'll go through 2 more topics and then we'll hit the brackets and then we'll be done. All right. Charles Barkley had stuff to say about Tom Izzo. He said he's one of the few coaches who can still yell at his players. We got these babies out here, the media who don't know anything about sports because they never played, say, why is he yelling at his players? And that's called coaching. He cares. If you don't want to be coached, you probably shouldn't come to Michigan State. It's like I love the fact that he never backs down. Your job as a coach is to coach your players. If their parents and their friends get mad because you are getting yelled at, you better get better parents and better friends. Gotta love Charles. Gotta love Charles.
He ain't lying.
And it goes on to say, Tom, Izzo on the state of coaching. I respect the guys that have left. I understand why some of them did, but my boss told me a long time ago, your job is to be a steward of the game, and I don't think right now enough coaches are standing up to be stewards of the game. And then it had another quote from 2025. It says, you play real good, you start. You don't play as good, you work your way back in. That's the American way, except America has gotten soft. That's how it works. So I apologize to nobody for that.
He's not lying. He's
Right.
not lying, folks.
And again, from my couch, woo, 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 woo. I listen to people.
The fact of the matter is that we get so wrapped up into trying to coddle. This is the double-edged sword that society has put us in right now. We worry about mental health and the berating of berating and tearing down of people, but don't understand the fact that there's some kind of there's some certain types of arguing or yelling at somebody that can be constructive. If I'm using it to get your attention and then to teach you how to be better at doing something, then that's the point of me doing it. But if I'm sitting up here and if I'm yelling just to be yelling, then that's a problem. That's when it becomes an issue. The point guard that they have fears that got the technicals throughout the season for kicking the player in the groin and everything else like that. And he sat there and he tore into him for that. When you saw the post-game interview after they win to go to the Sweet 16, Fears was like, I'm glad Coach stayed in me. I'm glad that he did that because he was trying to set me on the right path in order to succeed. There's a difference between me yelling at you but because I care and I want to see the best out of you, and that's what you're showing me at this moment is not the best, and me yelling at you because you're not grasping a concept, or me yelling at you because you're frustrating me because you're not showing me that you're as good as I thought you were. That's a difference. Izzo has always been one that cares, and you can tell the ones that care because those are the ones that no matter what type of team they have, they are consistently in the tournament. They're consistently winning in the tournament. That man has been in the tournament as many years as my kids have been on this earth in a row.
Yeah.
You got other players that's out here. You got other coaches that's out here that hasn't even sniffed being in the league for too long or being in college for too long. And they ain't doing nothing in order to make it to where it's any better or worse. So you can't get mad at the conversation that he's having and what Charles is saying when, in all actuality, ask the players. Ask any of the players that came through Michigan State, would they give back Izzo yelling at them or beating on them? Or not, well, I won't say beating.
Yeah, please don't. No,
can't say beating. Or hammering on into their head how they should handle themselves as both on the court and as an adult on there, to be that mentor, to be that steward, because I don't want to get yelled at. I'm gonna go somewhere else. That coach ain't gonna yell at me. And how many players have not even reached that potential because of that? I'm gonna give you an example that you're gonna laugh at, but it got brought up to my attention last week, and it's been in my head since then. There was a player that came out of Taft a couple of years ago that signed on to go to UC. That was the Ohio high school Mr. Basketball for the state. Rayvon Griffin. Rayvon went to UC, couldn't crack the playing time or starting lineup. He redshirted his first year, second year couldn't crack it. Decided, I want to transfer. He transferred to Kent State. Now, you at Kent State now. You're in a mid-major. And you are a former Ohio Mr. Basketball for Ohio. How many points you think he averaged this season?
10.
32 games played, 2 games started, averaged 2 points a game.
Hmm.
You want to know who his teammate was?
Who?
Elam from Miami.
Oh.
Who showed out this season up into that last game against Tennessee where they locked him down. But that game, that first 4 game, he was showing out.
Oh yeah.
Why? Here's the crazy part. One of the teachers here at the school used to coach at TAB. He used to coach football, but he was around the basketball players and stuff.
Uh-huh.
He would sit there and say, he said, Rayvon was all skill, couldn't coach him. And he had people in his ear hyping him up. He didn't want to get told anything. He thought he was already there.
Yes,
He
people.
wanted to get coached.
Yes,
That's why he went to Miami. He wanted to get coached. He wanted to get coached up to be better. Now, they both 3 years removed from high school. And one of them, if he goes back to Miami and continues playing at that pace, could make it to where he gets onto an NBA radar, or can hit the transfer portal and hit one of these power four schools and really put himself out there to where he could become a draft pick with his skill set.
Mm-hmm.
Griffin, he might not even be playing in Saudi Arabia. And it's sad because the hype films and everything that came out about him when he was coming up, everybody thought it was a steal when he came out to be when he came out and he decided to stay home and go at the UC. I'm fearful of what his career, how he's going to turn out. Is he going to be right back here, just chilling out? Because you went to Kent State, you only averaged 2 points and only got 2 starts. Your talent should be superseding anybody at Kent State. But have you fallen off that far? And is it because you don't want to be coached?
And then what is the coach seeing? And if the coach is seeing that, is that he might be seeing his talent, but still saying that I need to I need to put out a team. If I put him out here, I'm not putting out a team. I'm putting him out there. And that's not what I want.
Right. And that's what these coaches have to fight with. And then on top of that, a lot of these coaches is handcuffed to where they can't say the shit that they want to some of these players for fear of this player is going to hit the transfer portal, or this player is going to say something that I'm being discriminatory or something else to it, to where it's going to cause a distraction to my team because they're not getting their way. It makes it to where it's an insane point, but it's the truth. So yeah, I'm all with Charles. I'm all with Izzo. That's part of the reason why I stopped coaching. Because I'm the type of person that'll sit there. I have some Bob Knight moments. When you come off the court and you don't know, and you ain't doing what I told you to do, and you just standing out there doing whatever, or you did something that was totally not in the drawn up play because you was trying to look out for self or lost track of what you were supposed to be doing. And now we lost the game and we all gotta go home, and I'm gonna be looking at you like side eye for the rest of the game, like you should have just did what I told you.
All right. I had something else I wanted to talk about, but I don't remember it. This was a good talk. Let's get to these brackets.
They're trash.
So, I went including the play-in, I went 41-11.
So
now, I will say that I will say that some of my losses, when I thought about it, You know how that thing that I was doing during the regular season where I said I was going to look over stuff and if I needed to change something, I was going to change it and I didn't. That's where some of my losses have come from because I should have the whole thing with Michigan State. I don't know why after I don't know why I did not have them going farther than
Michigan State.
than I did. Yeah. So
Michigan, you want to know what? And I will answer that question for you. The Michigan State team that showed up was not the Michigan State that I was expecting to show up. I thought Michigan State was, from the way that they kind of went through the back end of the season, especially with all the turmoil with him going at Fears and everything. I didn't think that they was going to congeal the way that they did, but they have.
yeah.
And they have a 1-2 punch between with Fears and Carr. I'm sorry, Carr is must see TV. God,
I said that last year. Yes, I said that last year. He was oh my God. I know I'm gonna always be a Michigan dude, but I will always respect talent no matter where it comes from.
that boy did a dunk where he had his tongue out like Jordan and jumped from about 2 steps in front of the free throw line and yammed it yesterday. I was like, oh my, I like you. You're kind of ferocious. He was throwing people's stuff off the backboard. Oh, that's a headache.
What's up?
Cam Thomas just got waived by the Bucks a couple of weeks after signing him.
Cam Thomas. That name sounds
The player from Milwaukee, from Brooklyn that everybody was thinking about trading for, but then all of a sudden nobody wanted to trade for at the trading deadline, so Brooklyn waived him, and the Bucks picked him up off of waivers, and they didn't waive him. So something's off with him.
and exactly what Draymond said. He said that CBA was going to change a lot of things and not for the good. And eventually if these players in the college don't quit playing, eventually the screws will get tied down on that NIL. And it will get interesting. And I already know that R card is going to come out. But so all right. So a play-by-play of the best conference that I had out of all of them was the East. I only lost one game in the East. And that was the whole Michigan State situation. Had it not been for Michigan State, I would have went undefeated in the East.
In the East for me, I lost TCU's upset of Ohio State, if you want to call it that. And then I had South Florida beating Louisville and then beat Michigan State. So that wiped me out all the way to the Sweet 16. Because USF had been playing good, and then they got into that game against Louisville, and Louisville just said, no, you are not in our league. Please go sit down and go make sure that you grab everything and on your way out the door.
And then Michigan State turned around and did the same thing to them, and I was kicking myself the whole time. I was kicking myself the whole time. I was like, damn it, you knew to change it. You knew to change it. You knew to change it.
Now, I will say this. Looking at this Sweet 16, Michigan State and St. John's looking real good right now. UConn was a little bit too shaky until the back end of that game against UCLA.
Oh, basically, whether it was Michigan State or Louisville, I didn't have them making it past that point anyway. So that's why a lot of my point didn't change, because I had Louisville basically beating Michigan State, beating UConn, and then I had them facing Duke, and then Duke was going to beat them. So and I had Duke beating TCU, and I got them beating UConn. So now, I mean, not UConn, St. John's. Although I'm not any games involving them until they show me better, which I know they can't because I have the sneaking suspicion that Foster is the only way that they can show better, and I'm pretty sure he's done for the season. So so Duke is going to be shaky for me.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I'm debating on if I want to keep it because right now the way I got it with the Michigan State switch, I'm debating on if I'm gonna keep Duke beating Michigan State. The way Duke is playing and the way Michigan State is playing, I'm I won't be surprised if I
No
turn
momentum.
Duke into in the UConn and say you got to make me a believer. And these are my teams, and uh, but I'm also a realist, and I'm fair. It's like y'all don't look like you know the, now St. John's is capable of being beaten. That's why although I'm afraid of them when they play Duke on Friday, I'm not afraid of them to change my pick. So just because it's still possible, it's still possible for Duke still to win that. And then Tom Izzo with his punk self being over there. Oh Jesus. Just but yeah, so I've only lost one game over there so far. Over in the West, I lost 3 games in the
Oh,
second.
West was the
I
West.
lost 3 games going into the second round, and then the second round I went undefeated because
The
Villanova
West.
lost, Wisconsin lost, and Missouri lost.
I lost Villanova. I lost the Wisconsin game. I lost the play-in game because I had NC State taking Texas, and then that blew me up because Texas went on to beat Gonzaga. Then I lost Missouri, Miami. So that got me. So that got me to where I had Arizona, Arkansas, and Purdue. So I got three
Oh,
out of four. 3 out of 4 make it to the Sweet 16. But that Texas loss, that Texas going on their run killed that one because Gonzaga just laid the egg. Now, Arizona, I got Arkansas beat Arizona.
I don't know.
I don't either.
And
But the only reason why I'll say I'm okay with leaving it alone was Pylon's been balling for Calipari. He's been balling. And Arizona's guard play has been kind of shaky.
yeah, that the reason why I'm secure in keeping it in keeping it Arizona is because um a play here, a play there. Arkansas is not supposed to be there.
No.
They're not supposed to be there. So I'm perfectly cool with keeping Arizona facing Purdue.
And Purdue, for all intents and purposes for Purdue, that game against Miami, until they turned it on in the back end of that game, that was a dog fight.
Right.
With that Purdue finally clicked in and started playing how they were supposed to, and then let it go and ended up doing what they needed to do. So yeah, okay, we leave that what that is.
Yeah, I might end up playing with that one again because they play Texas. Mm, no,
I don't trust Sean Miller's squad. Sean Miller is playing with lightning in a bottle right now.
yeah, but I'm mainly talking about. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have brought up Texas. Although I am a little weary of that based upon, like you said, them playing Miami. I am a little weary of that game busting me up. But my thing is Purdue and Arizona. I was kind of going.
I think Purdue
I,
if Purdue gets past Texas, I think Purdue can take out Arizona.
and that's what I have at the moment. But that game against Miami, and depending on how they look against Texas, um, yeah,
It's gonna be a toss up. Everything,
right.
nothing is set in stone right now. Nothing is set in stone.
And then I went. Oh, and speaking of the play-ins, I went 4-0 on the girls, and I went 2-2 on the guys.
I went
So
2-2 on the guys.
so, and then in the West, in the second round, I went 4-0. In the South, on the second round, I went 2-2. The Midwest, I went 3-1, and I'm pretty sure I went 3-1. Yeah, I went 3-1 in the East. So, which I should have been 4-0 because I should have put Michigan State instead of freaking Louisville. Anyway, yeah, I'm except for the Midwest where I lost a lot of games
Oh, Midwest sucked.
and where I lost a lot of games in the first round. It's like I'm completely happy with this bracket, and I'm kind of wishing
I don't care.
I'm kind of wishing I put my money in. It's like
Because here was the Midwest for me, and this is exactly how the Midwest went. One with Michigan, lost with Georgia, lost with Akron because I thought that would have been an upset. One with Alabama, lost with SMU because SMU didn't even get past Miami. And then one with Virginia. Then lost with Santa Clara because Kentucky wanted the bank shot of 3 at the buzzer. So lost that one, and then one with Iowa State. Then Virginia turns around the next game and says, "You know what? We did enough. We're done."
I know because I had them going past Tennessee.
I had them in my Final Four.
Basically, I actually had
You had Michigan beating them, I think.
I was going because after SMU screwed me and Miami got in, I had Tennessee beat Miami, then I had Virginia beating Tennessee, and then I figured Virginia was going to beat Iowa State.
Yep, that's what I did.
I figured Virginia was going to beat Iowa State, and then they would have to play Michigan, and then Michigan would beat them, and but
they hurt me so bad with that loss. They really hurt me. They hurt me bad with that loss because I was not expecting for them to look to. I wasn't expecting for Virginia to play how they did in that game.
And at the end of the day, it was about who played the most consistent defense and who stayed poised for 4 quarters.
Mm-hmm.
Which that was like a toss up with the girls. Watching the girls, I just stay annoyed unless I see a blowout. I stay annoyed at the screen the entire game. Look like the girls for Illinois let me down. Which on the girls, a lot of the times that I lost, it was because I wasn't paying attention to the seeding. Had I just went with the seeding, I would have been all right.
I told you, just take all the number ones.
Because
the girls take all the number one. Because you might have one upset.
Because out of all the girls, let's see here who I was right about that I took a lower seeding.
Should have been none because I think there was only one double-digit team made it.
Yeah, and let's see here. Taking the lower seed screwed me in the second round because I didn't switch it around. But actually, I wouldn't have needed to switch. Nah, but I made the wrong pick. I made the wrong pick on that one. I should have picked Texas Tech over here as opposed to picking them on the men's. So, which that's what I found. That was another thing that I found. Whoever I picked that won on the one side lost on the other.
On the other, yeah.
One of the few ones that both of them lost was Miami.
Yep, Miami of Ohio. Both of them.
Both
Both
of
of
them
them lost
lost. Yeah.
within like an hour, couple of hours of each other.
Right. That was like one of the few that if they both had both teams in, they're like, ah, just it's annoying.
Huh.
And
And then we gotta get to the South.
wait, you had a bad South? Oh, what? Let me grab the right bracket. All right.
I got burned twice on the South. And it's all in the upper bracket.
Yeah, I got burnt 3 times.
I picked McNeese State to beat Vanderbilt. And then I had McNeese State beat Nebraska. But I forgot that Nebraska was right next door to Oklahoma. Did you see any of that game?
Which one?
The Vanderbilt Nebraska game.
I did, unfortunately.
You did.
Yeah.
Did you have the volume up?
I did not.
3/4 of that entire stadium was Nebraska fans. That place was insane. That game was insane.
I did notice it when whenever I was watching. I did notice it.
It was a Nebraska home game that Vanderbilt almost won.
Yeah.
It was
and they should have won.
That was one of those games to where if I could have been there to just experience that, I would have loved to been in that arena. That arena was rocking that entire game. And the way that game ended, I was like, it's fitting. It was fitting that they did that way. And so I can't get mad at Nebraska for the run that they're on for it. I had McNeese State going all the way to the Sweet 16. They got bounced out first round. And then Florida.
Yeah. I lost a total of 3 games. Vandy lost to Nebraska, and then obviously Florida lost. That that.
And then I lost Carolina, but we knew.
We
lost Carolina, but we knew.
Yeah. I was always worried about them. Period.
But Florida. You messaged me and you was like, did you see that play? That's exactly what I'll be talking about. And I'm like, what the hell happened? What did I miss? And then I watched the play on the replay on ESPN. And I turned around and I was like, what the hell was he thinking? That's exactly what I'll be talking about.
And do you understand the difference in a win and a loss? And when I say a win and a loss, I'm talking about the Florida game and the Arkansas game.
Yeah.
Not the Arkansas, the St. John's, my bad.
The St. John's, because it came down to one thing. You had a guard that was like, I'm going to score. And let's go back to the St. John's game. That St. John's, Kansas game, both coaches played it out exactly how they should. Kansas kept fouling in order to waste time to make it to where it was only a one chance deal in order to lose it, because they was disciplined enough to only have 3 team fouls with less than a minute to go.
Right.
So, okay, you got it up there to where you didn't want to foul them and put them on the line, so you let them run. But you also didn't have the discipline to tell your players to stop the ball. And that guard had not scored the entire game, had been having a horrible shooting night, and what did he do? He blew right past them, got to the lane, didn't look for a pass. He went to the hole and was going to say, either we going to overtime or we losing. Or I'm winning it, and kissed it off the glass and won.
Use the backboard.
Use the backboard and do that.
I asked you about that this weekend because I've been watching games.
They all just try to lay it over the line. They just try to lay it over the rim. They don't try to use the backboard for it. And some of them that was trying to use the backboard didn't know how to finesse it off the backboard. And it was carrying it off without even hitting the rim.
I should have freaking switched it. We just got through talking about it a couple of seconds ago, and it happened to me again. One team lost The girls won.
I don't even want to know.
Vanderbilt boys lost. The girls won.
One.
It's like,
Mm.
nah.
But
All
then,
right.
but then on the flip side of it, you get Florida. Now, you know how they always say that the commentators always kind of foreshadow things that's going to happen?
Mm-hmm.
The whole conversation throughout that whole lead up to that game was how Florida was so guard heavy last year that drove them to the championship. That was their leadership and everything else. That they had to change their identity, and their leadership was all on the blocks and on the inside, and their guards were young and inexperienced in that situation, or in situations like that. That reared its ugly head in that last play, because as a coach, I'm going to tell you to take the best shot possible in that aspect of it. But I'm going to say use your common sense. Driving to the hole, when that guard drove down to that hole, his only thought was, I have to give it to one of the big men in order for them to lay it up. I'm not looking for my shot. Because if you look at how he drove, he never looked up.
No.
As soon as he got underneath the rim, which is what all offenses now for some reason is, drive it to the hole. If it's open, take it. If not, look to try to kick it out to somebody for a three. And if you got three giants around you, when you drive in there for it, and you can't kick it out to a three because they're gonna knock the ball away. And then the pass that he threw, when he did that, he tried to loop it around somebody in order to get it. Why didn't you just bounce past it right to his hands and then let him go up?
He was too close to him, and that's exactly. I was trying to let you finish speaking.
Yeah.
The games that I have lost on the girl side is these inexperienced guards that were making passes with no spacing.
Nope.
And the other team was taking the ball and going down and scoring.
Yeah.
A number of games on the men's and the boys' side, because we're keeping it fair. How many times did you watch a game and watch a dude come in either to the free throw line or past the free throw line, and instead of taking the shot that was right there with little to no contention and kick it out for a missed three?
Yep.
And kicked it out for a missed three. That, and some of the faces you saw me making earlier, I saw that in some of the games I was in the games I was watching at the time, but I was winning both of them, and I was winning by a lot. So that was like my grimace was, I'm glad you were up by 20 points, because that was a dumb pass. It's like,
but that is what has been commonplace lately. It's the inside out game, not an outside in.
That is okay. That's what losing teams do. Losing teams run into a double team and then turn around with nowhere to pass the ball.
Right.
I've seen it more with the girls than I have with the guys. Let's be fair. But still, and even the winning teams weren't doing as much as the teams that ended up losing. But I digress. Bottom line, I saw you doing it, and that's why, to me, if I see it, it's a problem. Because if you're doing it and you up by 20, you're gonna be doing it if you're only up by 5 points or 2 points, or if you're down by 10 points or you're down by 20 points, you're gonna do it. I need to see you doing it little to none. This is why I would
love to see the steal to turnover ratio for all the games these past 4 days. I would love to see the straight steal to turnover ratio, because a lot of the steals that they've been getting have been because somebody then passed the ball from driving in, tried to kick it out, and got in the way, and it turned into a steal, and it turned into a transition bucket.
Hidalgo. Hidalgo? Yeah, 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 yeah.
for Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I watched two people with hype that are not associated with the big teams.
Mm-hmm.
TCU for the girls and Notre Dame for the girls.
Mm-hmm.
And after watching the games that I watched with those two young ladies in the game, I had more understanding of why Hidalgo, which I watched her last year, but still, um, Miles, I just didn't see it until overtime came, and the game shouldn't have went to overtime. There was games that I lost that shouldn't have went to overtime, and I had a feeling as soon as it went to overtime, I'm like, crap, I done lost like at least 2 or 3 games from the women's because team had a lead, they let the lead go, and then I lost in overtime. Or they had a big lead, they didn't keep it, they gave it back. It's like, what are you doing?
Oh shoot, Hidalgo did that in Columbus. Go ahead, girl.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. She was, yeah, it was, yeah, yeah. Ohio State, from what I heard, because I turned the game on late, um, uh, Ohio State came out like 11-0 to start the game, and then as soon as they got their groove, it was over.
As soon as Notre Dame did that, what they did.
And like I said, from what I watched of Hidalgo, her reputation like fit. Like Miles didn't even fit what I had saw her do last year. And she basically, for me, I didn't see her doing anything until overtime. She looked frustrated a lot. But and then that kind of told me, it was like, okay, this is why I haven't seen them really go far. Um, Notre Dame, you run into South Carolina or LSU, it is what it is.
Right. But Notre Dame, a lot of people fail to realize Notre Dame is on the rebound because they used to be up there with them a couple of years back.
Yeah.
So it's not, and Hidalgo has kept them in there, but they haven't been able to really build around her.
Right.
But now they're starting to, and you're starting to see the fruits of that labor when it comes around there to it. We all know the top teams in the women's. We know that. It's who's going to come in there and throw a monkey wrench into it. And Notre Dame might be one of them teams.
Yeah, as much as I hate to say it, I got UConn, but I am interested to see if Notre Dame can make that game interesting.
UConn right now, with the way that they've been just blitzkrieging even the best teams, I don't see it. I see they will have to have a horrendous shooting game in order for them to lose anything right now.
Well, whoever's gonna have Hidalgo guarding them, she needs to be on her P's and Q's and watch tape. She needs to watch tape until they play. Because that girl was getting steals. She was I had flashbacks of how I used to get steals on people, watching her get steals on people. It's like okay.
Ooh,
Yeah.
they got Vanderbilt next, and then they got UConn if they win out. Ooh. That's gonna be a game. Yeah, that's gonna be a game.
Oh yeah. But I got it pretty much. I think that although I may be wrong, I'm starting to wonder if I should keep it this way, seeing that Vandy done already burned me once.
I don't know. Vandy might not win that game against Notre Dame on the women's side. I wouldn't be surprised if Vandy lost that one.
And they both played so dominant. It's like I want to change the move, but I got reason not to change the move.
Right.
Because nothing Illinois brought is anything close to what Hidalgo and them brought. So that's gonna be an interesting game. I mean, I'll just leave it. If it, yeah, I don't like to lose, but I'll just leave it because I definitely feel like the level of defense that Notre Dame played could actually present some problems because Illinois was not presenting any problems to Vanderbilt from the moment the game started. So, and I don't think that Notre Dame is going to allow it to be like that. Although my luck, they'll
Your luck will make it work out. They're not going. It's not going to be as bad as you think it's going to be with that one.
I'll start watching the game and be like, "Holy crap! Is 21-8 again?" It's
like, what the hell just happened? God dang it!
It's like I knew I should have changed it.
Shoot, there was so many of them where I was like, "Did I?" Oh, that's
man.
why it just that Florida loss. I should have known better. It's hard enough to. One of the things that you have to understand is that if a team has to change their identity from the team that they had the year before in order to win a national championship, they're not going to win it back to back. It normally takes 2 years, and I should have banked on that, but I was banking on Golden to be able to coach those guards up to where they didn't do a bonehead decision like that, and the guard did a bonehead decision like that, and it burned me.
He was doing bonehead decisions going down the stretch. There was a
because he's a freshman,
right? And yeah, there was a lot of that going around, and that was another reason why I was mad that Tennessee pulled that game out because they also had a freshman that was giving the game away. He was literally giving the game away, and I don't care if it's the men, I don't care if it's the women's. There was games that I lost where the team that ended up winning was giving the game away, and instead of penetrating and getting a decent shot or coming up and pulling a jumper, I should not smile every time I see a player for the men or the women come inside the 3-point line, get around the free throw line or closer, and instead of pumping it out for a three, they shoot the jumper. That shouldn't make me smile and start clapping because I hardly see it.
I'm like, if you open, take the shot. I don't understand why you're trying to kick it out on it if you're open. It doesn't make any sense. That means either one, you don't trust your shot at that range, or two, your coach beat it in your head. You get in there, you kick it back out for a three. Either way, that's a bad thought, because if you're a guard and you don't have a mid-range, you really don't at least have a float game.
Especially if you have the lead. Oh, and that's another section where I lost games where people had the lead. They had 5, 6, 7, 8, 9-point leads, and they lost them because all of a sudden they wanted to start shooting threes. It's like, what are you doing?
There's no reason for every time with a lead, you coming down, you're not either trying to bleed the clock and being efficient, or you're trying to take the best points out, the best shot out of the game in order to get your points. You should not be trying to pull up. Okay, we up by 30. Here, shoot a three. We up by, here, shoot a three.
Now,
wait a minute, we down by 20.
Now, to be fair, now if he was hitting them like UConn was hitting them. Now if you hit them like UConn hitting them.
Who was that? Somebody went and was like,
no, the girls. No, I'm talking about the girls.
Girls was just nuts with it.
Yeah, that's why they had. That's why they got such high numbers, because they would shoot. The three would go up, and it was like I didn't even get mad during that game. Both games, after seeing so many go in, it got to the point where I stopped saying no. I just start going, okay,
all right, chuck it.
All right, okay, like, all right, chuck it again for you.
All right, chuck it again.
You know, details are important. For UConn, they could chuck the threes.
No,
anybody else, I don't want you chucking threes.
That was that Arkansas game last night. No, it was the Alabama game last night. That Alabama game last night against Texas Tech. I'm sitting up here. I'm like, up, he coming down. Up, yep, there go another one. Yep, here go. Yep, there go another one. Yep, okay, yep, there go another one. All right, I might as well just go ahead and turn on the game for. Let me go ahead and work on this website real quick because this game is already over. That game was done at half. It wasn't even no point to watch anything else for that one. Texas Tech was just trying to get the game over with so they can go home.
Yeah. And that's why I asked you that question, like which one is more demoralizing, the blowout?
No, you
or,
saw
or
it. You saw this these last 4 days. You saw the heartbreak from it. Santa Clara and Kentucky. That player went from I just hit a 3 in order to beat Kentucky to wait a minute, he's shooting from half court. Did he call? When that ball banked in against Santa Clara, they lost right then and there. Even though it was tied, they lost because they could never get themselves back up off of the mat for that one. And then the shot with, was it Vanderbilt? The shot with Vanderbilt when the dude chucked it from half court and it hit the backboard almost the exact same way that Oweh's shot did, went rimmed in and then popped out. That broke everybody's hearts in that game. And even the Nebraska players went up to go try to pick him up because he thought for sure that ball was in.
And the reason why Vandy had that game, that was one of the games I was talking about. They had the lead.
They had the lead and they had the game. But that was if you want to hear about an unfair advantage, that Nebraska crowd was an unfair advantage. Because that crowd, as soon as Nebraska started rolling to come back in that game, that crowd willed them all the way through to the end of that.
Bad decision making.
It was
bad decision making, shot choice.
But you couldn't think. That's why I asked you, did you have the volume up? Them guards was coming down there, and it was like playing inside. You know how people say when you go and you was playing at Arrowhead or you was playing at Quest Field back in the day for Seattle, where you would be in that huddle and you couldn't hear yourself think? That's how loud that arena was with them Nebraska fans. If you get a chance, rewatch that one and just hear the crowd, the sound of that crowd. It sounded like it was an aircraft engine inside the daggone stadium. That game was rowdy. And they was all into it. As soon as I was like, Nebraska about to mess up, they about to lose this game. And then I was like, they coming back. They coming back. And the crowd, every time they got closer, the crowd got louder and louder and louder. And that's when Vanderbilt started turning the ball over or making stupid mistakes. And it made it to where it snowballed. There was nothing that they could do. It was just like
the spacing. The spacing was horrible. The spacing on the passing was horrid on so many games this weekend. And it's like, dude, what are we doing? So
hold on. Can you hear this? Hold on. I'm about to see if I can. It's probably not gonna be loud enough because it's over the computer thing. All right, this is how it sounded. I'll bring it up on my phone because it on the computer microphone was bad enough. When you hear this, how loud they was, it was to a point to where it was. That game there, when I was watching that highlight, I was like, all right, this is freaking nuts. Where am I at? Go back into men's basketball tournament. Men's tourney. Where we at? Brackets. See full men's bracket. Go back over into here. Wait, what the hell? Duke Siena. There it is. Come on. Is this how we'll end it up after they play the advertisement?
I'll stay first and say
No, get past it. 10, 9.
Just how permanent my body.
Yeah, don't never put blue ink on your body and then not know that you can't wash it off.
Check, I'll stay first. You can save hundreds.
Seconds. Fred Hoiberg's gonna let him play it out. Tiger! It is final bucket to put Nebraska at 2. There's no settling running down.
That's how it sounded inside that arena. And that's
Yeah, it didn't really let me hear it, if I'm being honest.
I'm about to send you the video because when you hear it, you're gonna sit there and be like, dude, are you serious? And that was over the microphone for them doing the announcing of the game. So think about it if it was inside of the game, listening to all, hearing all that. It was you couldn't think.
Mm-hmm.
And the dude, and for the shot that he shot to where it rimmed out, I felt bad for him. I really honestly felt bad for him.
Don't get me wrong. I felt bad for the kid, but I was still pissed because it didn't
Shouldn't
have
have
to
got
come to
that
that.
point. It shouldn't have came to that. But that's why they call it March Madness, man. That's why they call it that.
I know. And your ability to stay poised. That's what champions do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what, in my opinion, that's something that I don't know how the coaches can do it.
You can't teach that.
But
you can't, as somebody that's coached and been in some of those situations, you can't teach that. That's something to where something inside of you, and that what everybody says is that zone where everything kind of cancels out. You can't hear anything. You can't see anything except for what's in front of you while you're doing that. That's something that's that's a little bit of an innate ability with that.
I will say that is true more often than not.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason why I can disagree with it is because the number of teams that have won games, no matter what the sport, and that's what they had to do. So it could be taught, but like anything else, just because it's taught to you don't mean you're personally gonna always use it. It's like you got to do more. It's like being taught something and you never apply it. Like I have a degree in private investigation, but I never used the degree. I currently have degrees from your school. Right now, I'm not using them. So it's like I have the knowledge and I have I have it, but I'm not using it. As a parent, we tell our kids plenty of stuff. If they don't turn around and use it, then it means nothing. You know.
True.
And plus the main point, as according to the games, a lot of these teams that should not be beating these other teams from the mid majors, they're poised more than the other team.
And the other,
ooh. Go ahead and say what you're gonna say, but we're gonna end it with my last question because I almost forgot this question that I heard earlier on the show, earlier on First Take, and now I remember it, and we're gonna talk about it, and then we're gonna end the show.
All right. I was talking to people over the weekend, and like I said, the coach from High Point's speech after their game resonated throughout the entire 4 days of this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
You pretty much right now have it to where your mid-majors are the colleges where you want to send your people or your players if you want them to grow and understand the fundamentals of the game and to play in a team aspect. If you want to go for the viewership, the notoriety, some of these coaches, and for the money, go to the Power 4 schools. But what happens in that situation is when the game gets tight and you get situations to where you have to trust the individuals that's on your team with you in order to execute a game plan in order to win the games, it's no different than being in the military. Would I want to be out on the front lines with somebody that's been on my side for 2, 3, 4 years to where they know how I'm moving without me moving, or they know what I'm thinking before I can even think it, in order for us to execute at the top of our ability? And we've been running these plays, we've been doing this together for this long period of time, versus a group of mercenaries that's been put together for only this season. You might be in your 30th game. Who knows how many minutes y'all played together all as a unit, and y'all are supposed to execute to perfection in order to win a game. And the last thing, it doesn't work. And you get exceptions to the norm where it does work, but I can almost guarantee you every single team that you see out there playing that's in this Sweet 16, or they've been dominating in there, they've had 1 or 2 players that's been together for at least 2 to 3 years, and then they done built around them. Not a whole bunch of people that just transferred in and just said, all right, let's make it work. Or they got at least 1 or 2 people that came with the coach that took over for that program, that knew it and helped push that knowledge down to everybody else to where it helped it congeal. It's the whole argument that we had about an hour ago with Calipari and why he only won 1 national championship was every single year before NIL, he was basically taking a group of mercenaries and trying to meld them into a team every single year. And he was trying to learn what was their strong suits and make them adapt in order to make them a team when you had a whole bunch of individuals.
But the one thing I will give him in that, and that was the one reason I disagreed with people that were trying to go at him, because
he won.
The one thing that I will give him, and no, it ain't that. What it is he told you at the beginning of every season, because he had time to see them players together on the court. He knew whether or not they could get to a championship.
Yeah.
And most of the time he said, I don't know what y'all seeing, but what I'm seeing right now, this team is not a championship team. Now we are gonna go out here and I'm gonna do what I can to coach them up to that point. But I need everybody to calm down. Yes, once again, Kentucky got the most McDonald's All-Americans. We did.
Yeah.
But I've had some time to hang out with them. And basically what we did was we took a bunch of number ones and we put them on one team.
Yeah.
And that's and basically that lack of championships is what the result was. Like you said, two appearances, 1 lost them. And it's like you do have to. That's why I've always tried to tell people, you need the role players, and you need the role players to be, dare I say it, elite role players. What do I mean by elite role players? That means you can consistently count on them all the time. If you have just regular role players, okay. Elite role players, you're Robert Horry. Non-elite role players, you might get 1 championship. Or be like LeBron, you went 10 times and you only won 4.
It makes it to where
What was that? That was weird.
Two notes just popped up on my feed. One, there's a player for Kentucky that got paid $2 million this season to transfer from Arizona State. He scored only 20 points all season. $100,000 a point. That's a good investment. And then from the Mick Cronin is funny files, he said he's asking UCLA for about another $5 million more for roster construction next season to avoid being bounced in the round of 32. The Bruins had a very successful season, but were eliminated by Dan Hurley's Huskies in the second round of the tournament. You need about $5 million more, huh? Dude, you should be used to getting out in the first or second round. You from Cincinnati. Quit playing. Anywho.
And plus, okay, technical. Did that look like he did or said anything when he got that technical last night?
It didn't look like he did anything in order to get that technical.
So in other words, my feeling is this: he must have been going all night, and the referee finally got tired.
Yeah, that's what they said. They said they think it was. They said they think it was. It had been going on all night, and he finally just said, "You know what? Fuck this."
Right. So.
And Cronin has a knack for that.
Right. And then, even though he had his hands out and he didn't look like he was doing anything that might have been aggressive or egregious, we don't know what his mouth was saying, because even the angle that they showed, his back was to the camera angle. So we don't know what he might have said. So and you know how I am about passive aggressive people. You could be calm as can be, and yet the words that come out of your mouth make me want to crush your skull. But Cinderellas. What is the true definition of a Cinderella? Stephen A. and Jason went back and forth on what's a Cinderella. Now, as far as I know, a Cinderella can do any of the following.
Okay.
They can either win that first game in the tournament, and that's it, or they can go on a run. But they have to consistently do it. And then it got to the point to where so many of them was doing it. Then it changed to, as long as you were a team that nobody was expecting to make it past the first round, and you made it past the first round because there were so many of you, then the rules changed. Then you didn't have to necessarily win one game. You could just win that one game, and even if you lost in the second round, you were still considered a Cinderella because you bounced out somebody else that we were expecting to make it farther. So I'm asking you, because according to Jason, you're only a Cinderella if you go on a long run.
And I'm with him.
Where Stephen A.
Here's the reason why.
Okay.
Cinderella started to get passed around like it's a participation trophy. You have to have a separation between an upset and a Cinderella. FGCU is a Cinderella. What was the school that had the was it St. Francis? A few years back, they had the one, I forgot what the school. No, Loyola. That was a Cinderella. An upset is, oh shoot, did I mute myself?
No, as far as I know, I can hear you.
I don't know why it popped up. Here I am. Okay. Now, when it came down to it, if High Point would have won that next round, they would have been a Cinderella. If Miami would have won against Tennessee, you could have called them a Cinderella because of where they came from being in the first four. My definition of a Cinderella is that you have to at least win 2 games as the lower seeded team to get to that point. And then it gets more and more as you go along. If you continue to win and you can make a run to an Elite Eight or even to a Final Four, you're a bona fide Cinderella if you make it to the Elite Eight. But it seems like any type of upset that they give right now is, oh my God, it's Cinderella. No, it was a better team than the other team at that moment.
Well, here's the thing. Back in the day, when you used to have only like, I think this is what cost them, in my opinion. Back in the day, at best, you may have had like 1 or 2 on a bad year, 3, right? Then all of a sudden, deeper into the early 90s, headed toward the 2000s, all of a sudden you started having 3, 4, 5, 6.
But you know when that comes,
and it's like
from.
And I know where it come from, but that was the thing. It was like when more and more of them started popping up to where you got 2 or 3 happening per side.
Mm-hmm.
Then they changed the narrative and the definition of Cinderella, because even though it was happening too much.
They changed the narrative of what a Cinderella was to fix the fact that the only reason why these Cinderellas was created was because all of the evil stepmother and the stepsisters was joining forces in order to push them out and to make them into smaller leagues. The only reason why this spiked to where you got more Cinderellas now is that for a conference to get half or 3/4 of their league into the tournament means that Cinderella conference might have got 1, or like in the instance of the MAC, 2 teams into the tournament because they had 1 team that went undefeated, and that was the only reason why they got in the tournament, and they were the last team picked. It's real easy to start calling people a Cinderella when y'all are all the people at the ball dressed to the nines every single year, and you only let a couple of the girls that sit back and clean up all the houses and get left for a fairy godmother to pop up and grant their wish and give them a pumpkin to get to the dance. And you get mad when they come in there and they steal your man and they leave you high and dry. And you want to know the funny part about that is what ends up happening after they come in there and they steal your man and they become high and dry. One of them uppity, high-class people decides, you know what? You look good. You should be with me. And they end up poaching that coach and bringing them up to their level and letting them restart from the beginning. That is the true definition of Cinderella. The definition when you get bestowed upon you a Cinderella means that 9 times out of 10, when one of these Power 4 conferences have a coaching hire, you're high on the list. Because
that's why it stopped being consistent, because as soon as teams like Gonzaga and people like that started being consistent with their ability to get into the tournament and cause issues, then they went, hey, maybe we should look at these lower level schools.
Yep. Because if you look at everybody talks about coaching trees, right?
Right.
If you look at some of the hires that have been moved up into these Power 4 conferences over the past couple of years, they ran an ad on one of the they ran a spot on one of the broadcasts yesterday where they said it's 5 coaches that was in the tournament that coached Division II in the past couple of years because they were that prominent. They're not looking at coaching trees. They are not looking for you coming from a Williams or a Self or an Izzo tree anymore. They're looking at who's getting results in this day and age. That's why with the North Carolina hire, they saying for the first time in a while, it might be somebody that does not have ties to North Carolina that gets the job. And if you think about that, the last 4 have had ties to North Carolina.
Mm-hmm. Now, should Kenny Smith get a?
No. No.
I agree, but there's one reason why I agree.
Why?
Because his son just declared to go to.
And see, here's the reason why I agree with it. What coaching experiences do you have? You just came off of a coach that had zero head coaching experience that you bumped up to be the head coach. You don't want to make that same mistake again. North Carolina needs somebody that's a proven winner now. Because if they don't get it back within the next 2 to 3 years before the next collective bargaining agreement with the NBA, the expansion in the NBA, and whatever they decide to do with that whole turnout with that, with NIL and adjustments on that, the days of the North Carolina Tar Heels, the only thing that will be shiny and new in North Carolina will be the new stadium arena that they built in to replace the Dean Dome. And that's going to suck. Because if the only reason why I'm going there is because of your arena and not what you putting inside the arena, we got a problem.
Yeah.
And that's why this has to be a slam dunk hire. It cannot be no bullshit. I think you see what they did this did was a slam dunk hire. You checked off all the boxes and the alumni said, go get them. The last time they had it this much of a slam dunk was when they went and got Cronin. And you have to realize facts is facts. UC became synonymous with Huggy Ball. You need to get somebody that plays some semblance of Huggy Ball in order for it to work, because that blue collar worksman's mentality, we rebound, we out hustle, we play defense, is what got UC to be the most feared team in black. And if you want to even get remotely into that persona, you're gonna have to tap back into that. And that's what Carolina. If you want to get back into Carolina, high flying ball movement, playing defense all over the place, guards and athletic forwards in there for it, you're gonna have to get somebody that's gonna recruit it and let it ride. Because it ain't like you ain't got the NIL budget. Because if you don't, that's another problem. Because you shouldn't be trying to build an arena and you ain't got the NIL budget. So this is about to be a great week. A great week. Whoa. Pistons just ended the Lakers 9-game winning streak. Luka got locked up on the last play. And then a California civil jury just awarded a woman nearly $60 million after finding Bill Cosby sexually assaulted her in 1972. $54 years later, she gets $60 million. A million point 075 a year. Go figure. Oh, shoot. Dang, I didn't even realize what time it was. Hi, everybody. It's 9:45. We've been at this for 3 hours. We knew it was going to be a long show because it was the basketball tournament. But we got to get out of here because I got to get out of here. Right. Everybody, have a safe and wonderful week. This is opening day week, so I will be in red all week. If you want to join in, I will be opening up the tournament for the second chance tournament. Why? Because I sucked in the first part of it. So we'll have a second chance tournament where you pick it out from the Sweet 16. I'll send that link out between today through tomorrow in order to get that done. Because when Thursday hits, I'm not touching anything because I'm going to be probably inebriated. But everybody, enjoy the week. Enjoy the basketball. Continue to enjoy the ladies. I'm loving that the ladies is getting a run. Shouts out to UC again on a great hire. I think that's it. You got anything for them, buddy?
No. Be looking for some posts since I got all this downtime. I'm gonna try to put it to good use and start playing with some stuff that I told you about. And according to what you just said that you be doing with websites, me and you need to talk.
Oh, I will send you Matter of fact, I do have to talk to you either tonight or tomorrow because I'm gonna tie in this into mine, and that also has given me some ideas to where we're gonna have to link up in the next couple of weeks because I want to show you what I've been doing with the websites as a whole with it to get it built up because I've been working on my main brand, my main company's website, and then the offshoots. I've been trying to take it step by step in order to build them up to where I got the base of it, and then all I got to do is just copy and paste what photos and what links I need to get into it in order to publish it. My goal is to publish it by next Sunday. I'm close. I know two of them I don't have done. I know for a fact. And it's because the businesses are not up and running for it. But the main two of them, yeah, by that part of it. And United World of Sports is a part of that network that's being built with that. So
Okay.
definitely I'll show you what to do and what to run with it. But when I tell you AI in the right setup for it is a godsend. Wix has turned on an AI platform that's made it to where that in combination with ChatGPT has made it to where it's pretty much, I'm telling it exactly how I want the format to be. It's spitting out the code, the actual HTTP code for it, and I'm copying it into the AI and it's delivering it onto the website. So anything that you can think of, you can type it out. It'll drum up what the idea is for it. It'll even show you like a rough sketch before you even try to transfer anything over to it. But sorry about the educational part of that one, folks. But we always talk business and pleasure when it comes to sports. So with that, I'm Mystah Jay. That's Dante Suave. Everybody have a great week of sports. We will see you again next week.
Yep. Later.
Later.